I'd like to call the Finance Administration and Economic Development Committee to order. Today is Monday, May 19th. It is 2 p.m. If everyone could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And Sarah, has this meeting been publicized and in accordance with FOIA?
Yes, sir, it has.
Okay, good. All right, I'd ask for someone then to approve our agenda for today.
So moved.
All right, thank you, Mr. Passman. Is there a second, please?
Second it.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will approve the agenda without objection, and I do not see any objection. I'd ask then for someone for the approval of the minutes, and I don't see the dates on that, Sarah, for the minutes. April 21st of this year. I'd ask for someone to approve the minutes for April 21st.
I'll make the motion, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, is there a second, please?
I'll second it.
All right, any discussion regarding those minutes? Seeing no discussion, we also will approve those without objection. And seeing no objection, the minutes are approved. Let's go on to our citizens' comment. And right now, I don't think we have anyone signed up in person or online. Is there anyone from our audience that would like to take advantage of our citizens' comments? And seeing no one, we will then move on to number 7 on our agenda, which is the Assistant County Administrator's Report. And this is Ms. Harriet, our Chief Financial Officer. Ms. Harriet, thank you for coming.
Hi. Okay. Well, while we are waiting for the presentation to pull up, I would like to make some introductions of some new finance staff that we have recently joined us. In the front row here, we have Sandy Novak, who is our new finance director. We also have Allison Kirby, who is our new grants administrator, and then we have Jillian Murray, who is our senior buyer in procurement. These three ladies come, well, Sandy originally comes to us from Oregon with working for a county as almost as large as Beaufort, and then she specializes in development of internal controls and policies to ensure compliance with county, state, and federal regulations in the most efficient manner. Sandy joined us on April 14th, so she's been a little under a month with us, or a little over a month actually. And then Allison has more than 25 years of experience in various capacities in the government and nonprofit sectors as a grant administrator. Prior to joining Beaufort County, she served as the grant writer for a local public school district in Columbia for 10 years. In that role, she secured more than $33 million in competitive grant funds to support district and school initiatives. Additionally, she managed the $23+ million in federal funds related to the coronavirus, the school district's version of ARPA, and the American Rescue Plan Act, as well, district-wide capital improvement projects, health and safety initiatives, and learning loss initiatives. She brings an extensive knowledge of federal grant compliance, grant development and administration, program evaluation, and strategic planning. So, Allison started with us on May 5th, so barely, 15 days in? And then we have Jillian, who joined Beaufort County also on May 5th. Jillian earned her bachelor's degree in business administration from Southern New Hampshire University in 2023. Since then, she has been an active member of South Carolina Association of Government Purchasing Officials, known as SCAGPO. I was worried about that one. And the National Institute of Government Purchasing. Originally from Pennsylvania, Jillian relocated to Beaufort in 2021 due to her husband Dustin's military service. She has since fallen in love with everything in the Low Country it has to offer. We like it too. In her free time, she enjoys spending time with her family and her 3 dogs, gardening and shelling at the beach. So please welcome our new staff members to finance. Awesome. All right, so we are going to, I did something, sorry. So we're going to present our year-to-date financials as of May 15th. Is there a clicker? No? All right, here are, and I'm apologizing because I cannot see that far, but here are our general fund revenues. Today, we are 93% collected. Ad valorem taxes is at 100% and still collecting. Licenses and permits are at 92%. Intergovernmental is 66%. Charges for services is 91%. Fines and forfeitures, 87%. Interest, 140%. We're still collecting a lot of interest revenue, so income, excuse me. And miscellaneous is 170%. So overall, general fund revenues are at 93%. So we're trending to finish out the fiscal year pretty good. General fund expenditures, next. Sorry. Here's our expenditures by category in the general fund. We're 73% for general government, public safety is 82, public works is 78, public health is 73%, public welfare 105, and cultural and recreation is about 80%. So overall 77%. And we still have about 3 more payrolls to go in this upcoming fiscal year, or this fiscal year, sorry. Next slide. Thank you. Well, overview of our enterprise funds. Solid waste and recycling is at 72% for revenues. Stormwater is at 65%. Beaufort Executive is at 82%, and Hilton Head Airport is at 90% for revenues. Next one. Solid waste is at 73%. Stormwater is at 45% for expenditures. Beaufort Executive is at 31%, and Hilton Head is at 66%. So this is a brief summary of our enterprise funds. And then, any questions on the year-to-dates before we go further? All right, the next one. Oh, the budget transfer report? Sorry, I couldn't fit that in a PowerPoint. You will see attached in your backup the budget transfer report. As you can see, there's a lot of activity happening towards the end of the fiscal year, a lot of line item cleanup for departments. So there is 3.5 pages worth. You will see more of these as we wrap up the fiscal year, preparing for audit and getting ready to start our preliminary, and that's really small. So it is in your backup with more details. Your justification column has exactly what everyone was transferring funds for to cover their line item expenditure. I know, it's really small, but it's in your backup if you have any questions. Questions?
Any questions for Ms. Harriet? No, seeing no questions. Thank you, Pinky.
Of course. All right, the next one's not mine. I'll be back later.
Thank you, and again, would like to welcome Sandy and Allison and Julianne for coming today, and again, congratulations. We're glad you're aboard, so thank you very much. All right, let's move on then to number 8, which is request to authorize the county administrator to execute a contract with USI Insurance Services for Beaufort County Benefits Consulting. Fiscal impact is $72,954 a year. Total impact is $218,862 over a 3-year contract. Expense will be paid from the Human Resources Professional Services line item. We have Ms. Catherine Mead to present this, who is our Director of Human Resources. So, Catherine, thank you for being here.
Good
I'll
afternoon.
make the motion.
Oh, thank you. No motion. Is there a second for us to discuss this?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brown. Ms. Mead, go ahead.
Good afternoon. So yes, we are requesting approval to move to full council the authorization of the county administrator to sign into this contract. We did post an RFP from February 25th through April 1st. Some of the items that our consultant helps us with is strategic planning and consulting, benefit procurement and renewal services, plan design and compliance, employee communication and support, data analysis and reporting, and vendor management with our health, dental, vision, and stop-loss vendors. And they also help us with employee wellness engagement. So we did receive 4 responses from the RFP. USI was the second lowest bid. The lowest bid, that vendor is not a registered agent to work with Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, which is our medical and stop-loss vendor. So as the ASI mentions, this is a 3-year contract. It will be billed monthly. We also have a 2-year renewal option built into the contract. So I will open the floor for any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Mead? All right, seeing no questions. I'd like to move this forward with no objection. Any objection? This will move to council for an approval.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Mead. All right, let's move on then. Number 9, approval to request a purchase 1 LT 40 bucket truck for facilities management. Fiscal impact, $188,893. Fleet services vehicle purchase for Public Works Facilities Management Division. The account balance there is $1,556,991. And we have Mr. Stronchak going to be coming forward to present this for us. And he is a Director of Facilities Management. Mr. Stronchak, thank you for coming.
I will make
Oh,
that motion.
sorry, we can make the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Howard. Mr. Stronchak, go ahead.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd just like to point out a couple things, the reasons and justifications for this particular piece of equipment. The first is that we've always had one within the facilities department for the past 18 years. The last truck that we had removed from the department due to mechanical problems, and that was 2 years ago. For the last 2 years, we have petitioned and requested a bucket truck and have yet to receive one. A few things to point out in addition to that. The lighting maintenance is really critical, and without a bucket truck, we cannot go into repairing parking lot lights, ball field lights, and ensuring, most importantly, the safety and security of individuals in those locations. Number 2, the building maintenance is really, really critical, used for gutter cleaning, roof inspections, exterior repairs, and multi-story buildings that we cannot access safely without a bucket truck. HVAC support, critical for lifting parts and equipment onto rooftops for the HVAC replacements and maintenance. Detention center needs requires a bucket truck for accessing the roof every month just to clean out the snake pipes alone. And let's not forget, every year, Beaufort County has a pretty big Christmas tree right over here. And without the bucket truck, we can't get it. Thank you.
All right, any questions?
I have,
Yes,
Mr.
go.
Chairman, I have a question. I think last Finance Committee, we were approving a bucket truck. Is it the same bucket truck, or is this another
another-
bucket
It's a
truck?
different bucket truck.
This is a different bucket truck?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
And
So the previous truck was for traffic management. It is the identical truck, but for 2 different purposes. So traffic management, you approve them a truck. This is facilities management.
So my question was, why do we need 2? Can't they share?
Well, very good question, and exactly what Frank was talking about. This is an exercise in efficiency. So traffic management has needs all over Beaufort County for those same types of trucks to reach these elevated pieces of equipment that need to be repaired. Facilities, right now, Beaufort County has more than 200 buildings. More than 160 of those are occupied. All of those are maintained by our facilities management folks. So the efficiency of having this asset is incredible. Just for 1 week for us to rent a unit was almost $4,000 to rent one piece of equipment that is not on, well, it's on wheels, but it wasn't drivable. So they had to transport that from place to place on a trailer. This is a very efficient use of county dollars. And as Frank pointed out, this is a replacement of an existing asset. This is not an additional asset to the fleet.
How about the other bucket truck? Was that a replacement, or was that addition?
So traffic management had previously 2 of those bucket trucks. Last year, we had a few of those that were damaged, not due to us. Other folks ran into them. One had to be replaced during an emergency procurement because we were we had to rent them for a while. So one was replaced on an emergency procurement. The last one that was that you just approved was a replacement of an existing asset.
I feel that facilities needs this bucket truck, and maybe the other one didn't need it. Okay.
All right, any other questions or discussion? All right, and this can be approved at committee level, so something that, if there's no objection, we will approve this at committee level. I see no objection, so this has been approved. Mr. Stronchak, thank you for coming today. We appreciate that. All right, let's move on then to number 10 on our agenda, an ordinance to provide for the levy of tax for school purposes for Beaufort County for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2025 and ending June 30th, 2026, and to make appropriations for said purposes. Today we have from Beaufort County School District, our superintendent, Mr. Frank Rodriguez, and then also Tanya Crosby, who is the chief financial officer. So thank you for coming. Appreciate you being here.
motion.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
I'll
all.
second that. Thank you for being here.
It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and it's good to see all of you again from our last joint meeting together. As you mentioned, today we're talking about our funding for the upcoming school year. And I have Ms. Crosby with us, who's going to do a brief presentation for you today and share some of the information for you as well. Okay, thank you very much, and it's great to see you all.
Ms. Crosby, thank you for being here.
Sir, good afternoon. So we have a PowerPoint or PDF that we could pull up. So we actually began our budget in about December, looking at various things from the previous year, sort of at the process, at the calendar, and we gathered a lot of information. We have a lean staff, became even leaner midway through the year this year, and but we've got a great team and able to tackle that. So. It's a PowerPoint in PDF form. It has
Not the flyer, the next one. They all got the flyer.
Yeah,
too.
it's behind, in the packet, it's behind the flyer, I believe. Behind the ordinance. Okay. It will? That would require. All right, there we go. So this is the fiscal year 25-26 proposed general fund budget for the school district. So there we go. Okay, that's actually, okay, there we go. We'll get it together. So there's some great things happening in Beaufort County School District. We have a lot of things going on. We're rounding out the end of the school year, but we continue to plan for future years and build on what we've already done in the past. We've had a lot of initiatives in the last budget year, and many that will continue, and then some new initiatives as well. We continue to have one of the highest teacher starting salaries in the state. We actually fell to number 4 this year, but we're still competitive. And striving to be a little more than normal, and you'll see that in the rest of the presentation. We're expanding some career and technology education programs and some additions in some of our schools with referendum funds. We're able to add in some additional classrooms to serve students at a few different high schools locations. Additional Tides Campus, the dual enrollment program, full-day dual enrollment with partnership with Technical College of the Lowcountry, and growing community partnerships. We're finishing our 2019 referendum projects. We just have a few more to close out and complete in that effort, and then we have already begun the start of the 2023 referendum projects. If you've been by Hilton Head High School, that's a perfect example of the work that we're doing there. You already have a 3-story expansion of that building. So aside from Department of Defense, Beaufort County School District is the largest employer in Beaufort County. We have about 3,000 employees, with about 1,800 of those teachers, which is almost 2/3. And then about another 1,000 contracted employees between maintenance, food service, custodial, and other outsourced vendors. So pretty significant. We've got a lot going on. Pretty significant operation. But at the same time, we have some challenges. And you all may have experienced many of these as well, but the most prevalent one recently has been state funding. I'm going to talk about that a little more in the presentation further back, so I won't linger on it now, but that's been a real challenge for us this year. Federal funding uncertainties is another area. We receive not just you'll see very small sliver of funding in the general fund for federal funds, but we have about 100 special revenue funds outside of this. And those $27 million of those include federal funding. But so far, no federal funding cuts have come our way, but we do have a couple of grants that we were waiting on to be authorized by Congress that we have not seen yet and have been delayed by about a month. So we're reaching out to our legislative partners at the federal level and doing various things at a local level to be able to help push, get those pushed along so we can authorize maybe a 5th year of a 5-year grant, or authorize some annual funding that typically comes by now but hasn't yet been notified to the districts, like Title I, IDEA, and those sorts of things. We do expect it to come, but we do have to just think about what happens if there are further delays. Labor shortages, we continue to see those, particularly in the teaching industry. Rising costs of contracted services, we're seeing that a lot in our custodial and maintenance contracts, which are our biggest outsourced contracts, which we happen to be going out for bid on one of those this year and another next year. Tariff impacts, we're having to really look at the timing of when we're buying computers for students and various things, especially technology items. Affordable housing, and then increase of costs of consumer goods, just day-to-day supplies. So those are the things that we really see as challenges throughout the year, but we work toward building the best budget that we can, knowing with those things in mind. So budget engagement is a huge part of the school district's budget, and we begin really with internal discussions, but then we talk to the board, school staff, principals. We do surveys online. We send out information to the departments, receive back, and students. We have a student advisory meeting every year, and 3 high school students from every one of our district high schools attends. That is probably the most educational meeting in terms of what our needs are as possible. It is very rewarding. And then we go out to the public, which we've done 2 public forums, and then the board has seen the budget twice now and expected to see it tomorrow night as well. So in all of that work has emerged 3 top priorities: teacher and support staff compensation, academic programs, and safety and security. So this budget is totally surrounded around those things primarily. It has other needs as well, operational needs, but those are the primary 3 areas of, particularly the first 2, of increases that you'll see today. So teacher salaries, one of our goals is to maintain one of the highest teacher salaries in South Carolina, and the reason we need that is we have to attract highly qualified candidates, increase job satisfaction, improve retention, and reduce our training costs. A little behind there. So this is where we stand currently in South Carolina. Charleston's number 1 at $56,000 this year. Berkeley this is the starting teacher salary, bachelor's with no experience as a teacher comes in for the first year. Beaufort currently ranks 4 of 74 districts in the state. 2 of the 3 districts are in nearby counties, which we actively compete with, and they're coastal counties, which are very attractive to young people. Coastal areas are very attractive, so you're going to draw young professionals to these areas. So Charleston County School District is starting their teachers next year at step 5. So it was an interesting concept that we looked at and have built something similar to that into our budget as well for next year. So we are looking to move to a $60,087 new starting teacher salary. By doing that, we currently are at 51, and we would propose a $4,000 increase to the base teacher salary and every cell on the schedule to go to 55, and then we would cells 0 through 5 would become $60,000. So a new teacher starting would be basically advance that 5-year amount mark. He or she would be at $60,000, and they would remain at 60 with any cost of living increases that would come up in the future years. So you would not have a step increase, but they would have a cost of living increase. So for example, if we gave a $1,000 cost of living increase, they would get the benefit of that. So there's a concept of they would have an increase. So we're sort of borrowing the good ideas of other districts in many ways, and this is just one of the many ways that we are proposing to do that. So if you look at the two compensation groups in employee groups side by side, teachers on the left will be a $4,000 increase to teacher base salary. They'd have a mandated teacher step increase. Their max step, we are proposing to move from 28 to 30. And so the teacher salary schedule at the state level is at 28 steps. We began with 24 steps about 5 years ago. And the eligibility of retirement is 28 years. And so we made a concerted effort to move up 1 step per year. And this year, in an effort to hold on to those most veteran, most experienced teachers, we are proposing to move 2 steps up. And we have about 184 teachers in those categories that we have the potential of, they could retire or they could hang on for and stay with us for another year or 2. So we're doing what we can to make sure that that happens, if they can stay with us. And then again, consolidating steps 0 to 5. And then in all other groups, classified, professional, administrative, we're proposing 3% cost of living, a step increase, and then aligning the steps with the teachers at 30 steps as well. So the big goal this year was 60,000. We asked the recruiters, how do we get people into Beaufort County? How do we keep them? And so they said, we need to be in the 60,000 range. So this was an effort to ensure that we made it there and that it was a very attractive number for our recruiters, for young people coming out of colleges to be able to select a place that they could live, work, and play and make a living doing that. All right. So the next area is one of our second priority is academic programs. So last year, I've got a side-by-side here, the current year, excuse me, we made a concerted effort to supplement and attract special education teachers to that field and keep them. We added a 6% supplement onto their base salary. That remains this year, so there's no increase, it's just remaining, so that we're addressing a critical needs area. Mathematics, also, we probably would consider that a critical needs area, especially after the pandemic. So we put several efforts in to make sure that we were increasing test scores in that area. We extended learning programs as our ESSER funds sunset. We had to make some hard decisions about what ongoing and recurring programs we would continue. And so we continued with our extended learning programs, which also helped strengthen our community partnerships. Employee child care and mental health. This year we're looking at doing some expansions on fine and performing arts. There was a high needs area in terms of students and staff were requesting this, including the board. Science, career and technology education, dual enrollment, and education technology, AI. So AI is really transforming our world. I know it's transforming everyone's, but particularly in the education world as we're preparing students to go forward and hire either in the workforce or in colleges to know how to use it safely and properly. Speaking of safety and security is another area of a priority. So there aren't major increases in this area in this budget, but that is a priority that we maintain that funding for security officers. We do have either a school resource officer or a security guard at every single school. and we have about 3 or 4 schools that would still be able to be eligible for the state grant if we're given the law enforcement agency grant. So we would replace any remaining security guards with school resource officer, which would be with local enforcement agencies, law enforcement agencies. So the categories of our increases are we totaled them up, and employee compensation increases really make up about 80% of this budget. You're going to see some school staffing and support allocations at a 1.9 million negative. We did pare back in order to help compensate or offset the costs of the increases. We did align our staffing allocations with the current enrollment, and we've reduced 60 positions this year. That is in the classroom and intervention services as well. So aligning that saved us $1.9 million. I mentioned custodial and maintenance being large increases. That $4 million is an operational increase that we expect to incur. And utilities, insurance, other increases are $800,000. And we have our partnership with Beaufort Jasper Academy for Career Excellence. They follow our salary schedules, so we'd pass on an increase to them as well, which would incur an additional cost to Beaufort and Jasper counties. And then our charter school has a state mandated formula that they would have an increase this year as well. So the total is $17.8 million increase with a proposed budget of $376,980,000. $376,980,000. So those investments are in primarily 70% in instruction and instructional support, with about 11.6% in leadership and other, and operations of 18.4%. And where does the funding come from? So as we take a look at this slide every year, we look at primarily almost more than 2/3 of our budget, or a little less than 2/3 of our budget, the revenue comes from local tax revenue. The rest is primarily state revenue of 36%, and the state revenue has decreased by 1.4% this year. So I have a feeling if things continue in the manner in which they are, that our state revenues are going to continue to shrink, and as the local revenues continue to have to help to fund this budget. So the next slide is about the state funding update. So there was about 3 years ago, there was a change from EFA, which is Education Finance Act, that was in state law, to state aid to classrooms funding. And so there was a push to simplify EFA, to help clarify the numbers and more evenly equitably fund school districts across the state. And so there was a major change to it. As a result of that change, there are some unintended consequences of the formula. There's no one at fault, there's no one to blame. It's just a matter of the numbers worked and what weightings they've put in to exaggerate those and how they compound over time. So the past 3 years, the state had, 2 years ago, they had $300 million of new funding for education. This year, they had $200 million new money for education. Next year, they have $100 million of new money for education. So as that number declined, this formula became very obvious that it had flaws in it. So coupled with a weighted student unit with a proportional allocation, it's yielding disproportional results. All of that to say, there are weightings that are given to state-funded charter schools, not locally funded. So those are charter schools that come from the public charter school district or Erskine or Limestone, not local district sponsored. So those are given more proportional weightings for being a charter school and having the inability to generate local tax revenue. By doing that, they're giving them 2 or 3 times the weightings that a traditional school district is receiving. And therefore, when you allocate a smaller pot of money, of 46% of the funding is going to 7% of the students in South Carolina, which are in charter schools. So it's a very disproportionate formula, and the state made some small temporary measures to adjust the weightings at the last minute before one of the sessions ended, before the Senate session ended. And they have committed to making longer term, getting a task force or having the Department of Revenue and Fiscal Affairs, Frank Rainwater, to study the issue before the next legislative session next year. So we'll have to live with that this year. The effect on Beaufort County School District this year was a loss of $2.9 million in state funding. So instead of receiving money for increases in teacher salaries, we had $3 million less. And so the minor temporary fix gave us back $291,000. So very minimal improvement in our funding. So we will still have a loss of $2.6 million. So that's the sort of thing that we're battling at the school district level, and others have joined forces across the state to really bring attention to this. And so some major changes are going to have to happen next year in order to be more equitable to the 93% of the students in the state who are at traditional school districts as opposed to state charter school districts. So that's one of the major challenges that we're facing, and really why we're here today. As if we had received some of the state funding, the need for additional revenues would not have been as apparent. So local revenues are currently, keep forgetting this part, $233.5 million at the current 121.8 mils. State revenue is 134.5. State and federal revenue, as I mentioned, a very small portion in this general fund, but is in other special revenue, $620,000 for a total of $368 million. So additional revenues to balance the budget of 8.2 are needed, and this would calculate to a 4.3 mil increase. Just a quick mention, in the calculation of the mill value, please, the school district differs from the county in that we do not receive funding on operations on primary homeowners, operations tax on primary homes. So our mill value is about $1.9 million for the school district. Our debt service mill value is closer to $3 million, like the counties. But since school operations tax was removed in Act 388 back in 2006, we lose about $1 million of local tax revenue in that change. So that is calculated on a little under $1.9 million, which includes a growth factor of about 4.8%. Have some great growth in the last few years, and we are projecting a little bit lower amount now, but 4.8% is on the high end of my comfort level on the growth factor. And how does that affect the taxpayer? Excuse me, I'm sorry, this is the millage increase. Current millage is 121.8 on the operations mill. Proposed increase of 4.3 to take us to 126.1. The maximum allowable by law, and I believe it was in the ordinance, 147.6 was the maximum allowable, and then the ordinance provides information about the what the look back is and various the values, what the increase was, and so on. So we are proposing to have no increase in the debt service millage. It's 36.3, and will remain at that level. The impact on the taxpayer. So just to take the median value I'm providing here may seem a little high for some of you, may seem a little low for some of you. That was just an average median value in the entire Beaufort County that I pulled and did a calculation of what this effect would have on a primary home, secondary home, and a vehicle. So at a $540,000 median home value of a primary home assessed at a 4% ratio, a 4% or a 4.3 mil increase would have zero impact on a primary homeowner on their home. A secondary home at that value at a 6% ratio would be 4.3 mils and approximately $140 per year increase. And then a vehicle of about 50,000 would, at a 6% ratio, would be about $13 per year. So as I mentioned, we're going to have budget certification tomorrow evening, and our board passes or certifies both the operations and the debt service millage, so that you get the details. And I think we're back with you all on May 27th. Provided some other handouts and details. I'm not going to go over those this afternoon, but I am happy to take any questions or comments that you have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
So just so you know, I did provide them, if you keep scrolling to the next one, Sarah. So everyone saw some of your basic information. Go to the next slide. No? It's a whole separate sheet. It's in our packet, yeah. So just so everyone knows, in your packet in front of you, you can see the comprehensive budget outlined. That's what Tanya's not going to go over. And I love your strategy of collapsing steps 0 through 5. We talked about it at our joint meeting. I thought that was very creative. Who cares that you stole it from someone else? We don't care. And if my colleagues would go to page 8 in your handout, that's the general fund information by line item, more or less, if you want to read it that way. There are pie charts in here, but I was hoping Dr. Rodriguez or Tanya or anybody would talk about page 20 in our packet, which is the weighted staffing model.
Sure.
I think it's important. Dr. Rodriguez talked to us about student achievement when we met together and the progress they're making, but we all should be aware of the weighted staffing model. One of our Mr. Glover's joining us. We talked about what do we do to help students who are, further behind. So it is in our packet. It is page 20. And if you would just talk about the weighted staffing model, that would be great.
I'll start, and then if you have anything to add. So about 3 years ago, we realized that we had many districts across the country are using a weighted staffing model. And the reason for that is that some of our highest poverty, lowest achieving schools needed another level of support. We need a staffing formula for many reasons, and that we have any of our federal funds must supplement, not supplant. They must be above and beyond a formula that we've created and fund with the general fund dollars. So the weighted staffing model provides a lower per pupil ratio in every class size, and then we use 3 different levels. The current level of the staffing model, more than 50% poverty and more than 75% poverty. And so for each level, we lower the class size by 1 student and are able to serve them at a higher level and create our class sizes a little smaller. So that is something that many of our schools, particularly those that are 75% or more, really benefit from in the lower classes, particularly after we emerged from the pandemic. It was obvious that we needed that support for our students. Have anything to add?
I would just add, it's just a strategic approach in order to help our children reach their highest potential. And so this effort, several things it does. One, as she mentioned, with the per pupil ratio, lowering the per pupil ratio, but it's part of what we do in terms of targeting where we see the greatest needs, right? And our extended learning sites are another example. She mentioned that earlier in the presentation, where we target where the majority of those extended learning sites exist is where we see the greatest need. And so one of the results of that kind of weighted staffing model and that kind of a strategic approach is that for the first time in, I can't tell you how many years, the Beaufort County School District does not have any unsatisfactory rated schools. And what you see happening is lifting up and pushing forward the progress and the rating of all of our schools. Our excellent schools, our good schools, the average rated schools. And so we see a lift when we had several unsatisfactory coming out of the pandemic. We don't see that. We don't have that anymore. But that's part of what a strategic approach like a weighted staffing model helps you to accomplish.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Done? That's it? All right, Alice, go ahead.
I had a question. I find it disturbing that the state is, if I got the statistics right, taking 46% of their money and giving it to 7% of the students in the state. What reassurances do you have, if any, from our legislators that this won't happen again next year? Going to the charter schools instead of the traditional public schools?
I think what we've seen when this came to light was just that there was an effort among school district superintendents to connect with their legislative delegation. I know our legislative delegation members that I spoke with took my call, listened to the concerns, and they began to make what effort they could on that, and then they committed to establishing a task force to review that staffing model. And I think that's kind of where we are today.
And do you need support from individual county council members for this not to repeat itself?
I think, a voice is important. Anytime that the voice is there, I think it's always beneficial and helpful. And I'm happy to keep you apprised as to any progress around that task force as it forms and as it develops.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Madam Chairman.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Glover.
Just quickly, I want to follow up on your comment you just made. You don't think it'd be more of an impact if it came from council, or you want individuals to?
That's up
I
to
mean,
the will of council, and because
I
this
don't
is.
have a problem making a motion to that regard, because I think it's very important that our students receive the funding they need, and not a few, but the majority. So, I'll be glad to take your lead and move forward with a resolution from council if that's appropriate now or later.
Airman, what do you think? Should we?
So whatever the will of this committee is.
I'll stand. I can yield to later. We can think about it and we can move forward. But I think it basically was sent a stronger message than me individually. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can do it, but I think we can send a stronger message if we do it as a body. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Glover. Mr. Passman.
Well, that's totally appropriate, and I absolutely support this, that we should do something like that. It is not pertinent to this discussion. This is the adoption of their budget. Therefore, we should instruct administration to work with the appropriate committee to make sure this resolution is put on the next available meeting. Not right now.
Chairman, one other thing. I just want to recognize the president of the chair of the, I don't know, we call you president of the school board? Colonel Geyer, chair of the school board, and Carlton Dallas, vice chair. They came to hear what we had to say today. Congratulations for a job you're doing well.
I think Councilman Passman and Councilman Glover are both correct, so we can figure out which committee that should go to. That would be good.
All right, good. And I don't have a question, but let me just make a statement that, we are here at County Council to approve your budget and approve your millage increase or whatever happens with that. I know in the past, County Council thought it was our responsibility to be more involved, but obviously the school board is an elected board, and they have their own people they have to look out for, and they get reelected that way. So as our council, we have stepped away and gave you more autonomy when it comes to what you're doing and how you do it, but obviously it's your responsibility to come to us and present to us, and then we obviously approve the budget. And that's the one thing that I didn't realize until later in life. I had 4 kids in a public school system and realized that none of my taxes went to pay for schools. I had the homestead exemption or the residents, the 4%, and people don't realize that if you're a 4% person, none of your money goes to the school system. It's all made up from commercial property, second homes, and vacant lots that you take the school budget and it's spread across all those folks. That's who's paying for our school from that Act 388. And again, Act 388 was done so that way residents' school taxes didn't go up and they weren't priced out of their homes for tax reasons. But again, we've been begging and asking our legislatures to look at doing something different. So I just want to point that out, that is something that people don't realize, and that's just the way South Carolina has been set up. So, no, I appreciate everything that y'all do. Y'all have been very forward. And again, this is something that is an ordinance that we have to send this to council and then be voted on 3 times for approval is their actual budget. So any other questions before we move on?
Chairman, I don't have a question.
Yes.
I just want to commend the superintendent for their achievement. I was most impressed on your goals that you're setting for the next 5 years. And as far as I'm concerned, if I reach for the moon, but I only get to the sky, I'm a little higher than I used to be. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and thank all of you for hearing us today. We appreciate your time, most certainly, and your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any objection to moving approval of this to county council?
No objection.
No objection. So again, it has been approved and we'll move forward to county council for first reading. Again, thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Thank you, Ms. Crosby. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. All right, let's move on to our next item. And we are looking at,
Number 11.
hang on, number 11, my first number here. So presentations of our fiscal year 2025 and 2026 budget requests by outside agencies. And Ms. Harriet, if you'd like to tee us off for this. And
Sure. We have several of our outside agencies here today to present. You had your first set on April 19th Finance Committee meeting, and now we're doing the second set. So in the theme of education, we'll start off with TCL with Dr. Gao and Mary Lee.
all right, we don't need a motion. We do need a motion to discuss this. All right, can I have a motion, please, to discuss?
Motion.
All right, thank you, Ms. Brown. And Ms. Howard is the second. All right, and any discussion on that? Seeing no discussion, we'll approve it without objection. Sorry, we have our first presentation, and Mr. Goff, thank you for being here. It's always good to see you, and again, we appreciate all that you do, and Ms. Carnes as well, that's with you today.
Well, thank you. In the spirit of Major League Baseball, I'm glad to lead off. I want to be the leadoff hitter because I want to get on base here. So thank you for giving us an opportunity to come before you today. I'm going to turn this over in a moment to Mary Lee Carnes, because you're going to enjoy what she has to say much more than what I have to say, but I'll be available to answer questions. But I would like to tell you that your community college, your technical college, is doing very well. By every measure that you can imagine, I believe we're doing well, including our accreditation completed with a nearly perfect score. Our licensure and rates are through the roof with all of our health science programs. Our growth in terms of enrollment has been amazing, about 7% for the past academic year, 18% for this summer, and looking at 4% now for next fall, which is a really good sign. And I know that Mary Lee's not going to mention this, and I'm sorry that Dr. Rodriguez has departed the pattern here, but I want to give a shout out to our partners, including the Beaufort County School District, USCB, Dr. Panu is in the back, and other partners in the area, and to the County Council for the outstanding support you've given to the college in the past, and I hope continue. So thank you to them. And because of them, folks like Dr. Rodriguez at Beaufort County School District, we're now standing at nearly 900 dual enrollment students. And that puts us at probably one of the highest, if not the highest, in the state in terms of our participation between the technical colleges and the school districts. So we're very proud of that, and a lot of that has to do with them.
Hey, Dr. Goff. I'm the one that put the PowerPoint together. So we're primarily here just to thank you for your investment and your confidence in the Technical College of the Low Country. We know each other pretty well, so I'm not going to go line by line on our PowerPoints. Right now, this past academic year, we had about 4,000 students in both credit and non-credit programs. 80% of those programs on both sides are free to the citizens of South Carolina through the South Carolina WIN Scholarship that's only available through the South Carolina Technical College system. We serve working learners. So 77% of our students are part-time. They're working in and out of the classroom. And we're local, like all community colleges are. We design ourselves and our programs, we focus our mission and our strategies to serve the local needs of the communities that we serve, the workforce needs, and 95% relevant. Our students come from the community, they return to the community, they take their degrees and their education and training, and they live, love, work, and worship here in our community. This was, I think, a particularly fun fact that came out in the Wall Street Journal recently, and it really reflects the job market nationally. This is a national figure. But it was looking at unemployment rates by graduates of institutional types. And for community college vo-tech students, the unemployment rate is 2.1%. For four-year institutions, it's 15.3, and for advanced degrees, it's 8.1. Now, I want to emphasize, this is a national statistic. We do find it locally at the Technical College of the Lowcountry, but it may not necessarily reflect on USCB. Your investment. The Culinary Institute of the South has been extremely successful. We're edging up to almost 200 students in a new partnership with the Beaufort County School District starting in spring 2026. Well, I think there'll be 20 students from the Beaufort County School District who will attend full-time at the Culinary Institute of the South to earn their culinary degree. And the Arthur E. Brown Regional Workforce Training Center. This is an effort that we're fully committed to getting off the ground physically this year. And I want to spend a little more time with that. I want to give you an update where we are. We have $22 million for the cost of the building. We're looking for 6 more. Just to put that in perspective, we started pursuing the Workforce Training Center in 2016. And in 2016, it was about a little more than a $16 million cost to build a 50,000 square foot regional workforce training center. It is now a $29 million cost to build a 50,000 square foot regional workforce training center. And for every quarter that we don't go to ground, it costs an additional $250,000. So we need to get it off the ground, and we've put a number of strategies in place to get the balance. The alternative is we scale it down, but to scale it down does not meet the needs of this community. But we'll keep you up to date on that. One of the things that we put in a grant for this, and a couple things to share that's come out of that. Since 2020, more than 23 companies have come to our region, either new or expanded. It's been a $1.5 billion investment, and it's been an additional 5,000 jobs. Additional 5,000 jobs in addition to the 9,600 businesses that are already here and are looking for a workforce. So workforce is getting extremely competitive, and the Regional Workforce Training Center will certainly be of help with that. Your millage is important, and we put this slide, we wanted to show you how important it is to our operating budget, and we are grateful for your support, we're grateful for your leadership locally and for your leadership in the state for supporting higher education, the Technical College of the Lowcountry, and the University of South Carolina, Beaufort. That's exceptional, and we are grateful. That's our last slide, if you have questions for Dr. Goff or myself.
Any questions? Really, you're getting off easy, I think. Tab, are you sure you don't have a question?
Absolutely not. I appreciate the technical college. They're the best in the state.
That's right.
TCL, I already heard that, and I've been to the Foodseum, which was great. And so, no, I don't have a question. You got off easy.
Thank you.
Good, thank you for coming out today. And Mary, what's your vice president, or what's your official title?
Do you know it?
Is it really? Okay.
She gets paid by the word.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, he took my joke. So Vice President for Advancement and Workforce Development, and my joke is it doesn't reflect my salary.
Is it?
Big title.
That's funny.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you all for
Thank
coming.
you,
Dr.
Tim.
Goff, Mary Lee, Carnes, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here.
All right, our last educational entity will be USCB. Here's Dr. Panu.
Dr. Perdue, thank you for being here today. We appreciate you coming.
Thank you. It's a true honor and pleasure to be here with you. And thank you so much again for the opportunity to present before you and make some of our requests. Before I jump in, let me introduce our vice chair for the USCB Education Foundation, Dick Stewart, who, under the leadership of the USCB Education Foundation, been very instrumental in the work related to the Capitol, and I'll ask him at some point to just give a word or two to update on the work that's been taking place there. And ordinarily, I would also be accompanied by our Vice Chancellor for Business and Finance and Operation, but we lost one. Anyhow, but she's here. So maybe there are questions that she knows enough to be able to answer for us. So thank you. USCB, as you know, is located on 3 campuses right here in the Beaufort County, both on the north and the south of the county. And we are absolutely committed to serving the entire community and beyond, and that would also include adjoining counties. I like this picture. I wanted to show it to you. We just had a commencement May 2nd, and we had several thousand people attending commencement, and you can see just from an angle of the aerial view a little bit of what it was like to have there. Over 400 students have graduated this year. But also, this is the 20th anniversary celebration for USCB. 20 years ago, USCB became a 4-year degree granting institution in this region, and in part, in large measure, thanks to the vision of the county council. And I want to thank you because that vision, that investment has borne tremendous fruit, and you can see that. And just so happened that with our 20th anniversary, we also were recognized by U.S. News and World Report in the top 10 universities, colleges and universities in the South. And what's more impressive to us about that is the company in which we were. Most of the institutions that are making that list have been in that business for 50, 60 or more years. So to be there within 20 years is something that is, again, reflecting that investment that you made in having USCB become a 4-year degree granting institution. Let me quickly run through some things that are giving you a sense of the facts, if you will, for USCB. It's the newest 4-year comprehensive university in South Carolina. And prior to the pandemic, we were ranked in the top 10 fastest growing institutions in the country. Of course, the pandemic did cause a dip for most of us, but we have since, after the pandemic, recovered the continued growth there. We are offering 20 baccalaureate degrees and 2 masters, but we've also have concentration giving us total area of specialization to about 58. We have 3 honors cohorts that are primarily focused on the Beaufort campus. We have included high demand programs such as cybersecurity that is part of the Information Science and Technology program in concert with the South Coast Cyber Center and grant funded federally. We have been named a top producer of Fulbright scholars, and we have within a university system of South Carolina for the past 6 out of 7 years received the most recognized award for faculty award, the Carolina Trustee Professorship. And it speaks to the incredible quality of faculty that we have serving our students here. With your help, USCB, USCB is continuing to make a tremendous difference right here in our county. We have, for the fall 2024, for which we have data completed, over 859 students enrolled from Beaufort County. And we are serving our dual enrollment population. And as I indicated earlier, we have now over 400 baccalaureate degrees being granted on a yearly basis, and hopefully continuing to increase there. Many of you perhaps are very familiar with the OLLI program. It's one of the best OLLI program in the country. This is the OSHA Lifelong Learning Institute, and having over 1,700 Beaufort County members. We are one of the largest employers in the Beaufort County, and we have a strong partnership with our school system here, both in terms of producing teachers and also the masters in literacy, and of course our engagement with regard to dual enrollment programming that are there. It's really important for us to think about the impact, and our goal, and it's stated in our mission, is to leverage the strength of the region and focus on the need of the region. And we are proud to be continuing to expand the workforce need that is reflected in this area by the graduates that we are producing and the areas in which we are producing those graduates. Amongst the comprehensive institutions in the state of South Carolina, USCB has the lowest tuition. And for a long time, we also were deeply below the funding in terms of the parity when we compare ourselves to other comprehensive in the state. Thankfully, our legislative delegation has worked very diligently to try to bring us there, even though we're still at the low end, made tremendous progress. And you have here given to you on this slide a sense of the profile of our students in terms of the breakdown, first generation and the gender, etc. Because of our commitment to experiential learning, we get students engaged not only in undergraduate research, best known practices for deeper learning, but also internship opportunities, service learning, volunteerism, and other opportunities. And if we were to monetize the hours spent in those areas, it comes to around $3 million in investment. Recently, an updated economic impact for USCB was measured and estimated at $141 million, and 63.6 in terms of labor income. And you can see the number of jobs also there proposed. We are tremendously thankful and grateful for the support that we receive from Beaufort County. Here's a quick outline of how the funding from Beaufort County allocation going through the Beaufort Jasper Higher Education Commission contributes to the USCB general fund support for education and general expenditure. And considering all the sources of revenue, this is a huge, huge, important part of what our expenditure is. And this helps us in all areas. And you can see the breakdown of the different categories of areas in which our appropriation from Beaufort County ends up helping us. We have two aspects to our request that you will hear today. Mostly I'm spending on our recurring request, but I'm also going to ask Dick at some point to just give a quick brief overview for an initiative that we have been talking about for several years, and hopefully we'll have the proper venue to be able to talk at length about that. With regard to our recurring request that we have, the millage request, we are respectfully asking for your support to raising the millage rate from the 1.1 that we currently have to 1.3. This support is going to assist us in numerous ways, including recognizing the rising cost in personnel wages and health insurance increases, inflation and rising operational costs, obviously, aging infrastructure and deferred maintenances that we have to be worried about, including increased student support services and needs that we have. You probably know how critical mental health has been, especially in the recent years, and athletic operation support. These are all some of the areas that are going to necessitate for us to be able to make this request for the millage increase. Let me just kind of generalize those in highlighting some critical areas that are important for us to have the continued growth that we have had. We do need new academic programs. Having 20 majors is one of the lowest that you would have amongst the comprehensive. At the beginning of this particular year, we made a request because we know we need to offer engineering program, and in particular, environmental engineering was one of the requests. These kinds of programming for new academic program require additional investment, and unfortunately, it doesn't look like the state funding this year is going to be able to make that an option. We have, as I said, the lowest tuition in a state, and by state mandate and board of trustees, we're not going to be able to increase tuition. And the tuition mitigation that we get sometimes just does not cover what our cost is going to be and the need for making that gap. Being a youngest institution, we don't have a huge endowment that gives us other options for being able to tap on that, especially when you're looking at increasing programming. We also have aging infrastructure that we need to be concerned with that are going to require that we put some dollars to it. So we thank you again and respectfully request that increase in the millage. Let me at this point turn the microphone over to Dick to give us a quick update on what we've come to call the Sand Shark 2020 project. Thank you.
Stuart, thank you for coming, and we know you well, and we appreciate all that you do, and obviously as a past councilman as well. But
Thank you, Chairman Lawson, and thank you all for your service as county councilman. I know it's not always the most popular task, but the good news is it doesn't require weekends or evenings, so that's just wonderful that it works out that way, isn't it? I'm sure many of you have been in meetings all day, and I appreciate your service. As we were sitting in this room, I was concerned that you might be in the jury box, so I'm glad that you're not. But while I was serving, or you might be, but it's a different box today. But as I look around the room, I see Harriet Keisling, an old friend who helped as we were making USCB a 4-year school instead of a 2-year school. Colden Batty, who at that time was serving on the State Higher Education Commission, was a real supporter, and as Colden would say it, those people in Columbia aren't going to do it, Dick. We're going to do it. We're going to have to do it here. And that's my bad imitation of Colden. And Judge Kimmerlin, who's one of my favorites over there, who also, in addition to being a great jurist, was a great saxophone player and poker player, so he had a little bit of a lung problem later in life, and he used to tell me the key to the future is getting people who live here to know what they can do as opposed to people who leave here so they can find that out. Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Your Honor. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to share on behalf of many people in the citizenry and the taxpayers we discussed earlier, the leadership of this county council to let USCB become a 4-year school. Because as a 2-year school, when I came back home in '98 and began asking why this rapidly growing area of the state was one of the few places that didn't have a 4-year school, we were told you're going to get one when you have 1,000 FTEs. And I said, well, where's that written? And theoretically it was written because that's what they did in Myrtle Beach. I ended up going to Columbia and checking into a hotel and going over the archives and reading those records. And throughout that record, it said, we're not going to have any more 4-year schools. This is the last one, because they deemed we had too many in the state, but we had none here. But because of the leadership of Beaufort County Council, you passed a bond referendum that funded the beginning of the campus at Bluffton, but that bond referendum was conditioned upon the state approving this being a 4-year institution. Jane Upshaw, Wes Jones, and I traveled, and occasionally Tom Taylor, as county council chair, traveled. And we went to Columbia, Greenville, Florence. We didn't have to go to Charleston because they were in Columbia the day we were there. And all of those in 45 minutes or so would say, we've always wanted to do this. We don't have resources. We're glad you're stepping up. And they would sort of take the check and we'd get approval. So in the matter of a few months, we became a 4-year institution. Didn't have a single degree approved, didn't have any master's degrees, didn't have any of that stuff. And here we are 20 years later. So now we're looking at what we do next. At that time, people were saying, well, can we recruit students? Will they come? Can we recruit professors? All those questions have been answered. So I'm not going to tell you all about this today, but please have a work session. We had hoped we could have one before now. But I understand budget process may take a few minutes out of your schedule, so we're perfectly happy to do that after that's over. And we want to invite you. We'll be having a public information session for the public, you, members of the Jasper County Council, Hardyville Town Council, Bluffton Town Council, and others to talk about this project. What we refer to as Sand Shark 2020, and being over the age of 40, I did not put a PowerPoint together, but I do have a piece of paper with it on it. What you'll see here.
Upside down.
Yeah, well, that's intentional, thank you. I should bet on who would tell me first, and I don't know who would have lost, but I would have picked tab. This is the line that's in Beaufort County, that's Jasper County. What we've got here is a new convocation center arena located right here, and this is where those 4,000 to 5,000 people you saw standing out in the sunshine last weekend on a rainy or cold or inclement day can be for a graduation, as well as for athletic events, other symposium, educational events, and occasional plays and concerts, not to mention basketball, volleyball, and other sorts of activities that are typical for a college education. There are athletic fields here. The nice folks in Hardyville let the softball and baseball games for USCB occur over there. Not exactly the experience I had as an undergraduate, or probably you did either, so we like to bring those on campus. And this is a track and field facility. Mr. Glover, you may remember, and I'm not sure, Gerald, you might, and Alice, you've been here long enough. You know Herbert Glaze, who coaches track at Beaufort High. Herbert's been coaching women's track at Beaufort High, well, the public school system, for over 50 years. When I was a kid in high school, the Beaufort Relays were one of the preeminent track meets for high school students in the state, and we regularly beat them. Now, we were the doormat in football, but we were great in track. Does that sound like a memory you might recall? So we'd like to bring some of that here. This facility, being located where it is useful to do that for that purpose. Now, if you'll come to these meetings and give us that workshop, we're happy to give you great detail, but just let me say this. If my sources are correct, 32% of the people that live in Beaufort and Jasper County have been here fewer than 5 years. They don't know what USCB has accomplished in 20 years. So in addition to the student experience and the public benefits of concerts, entertainment, symposia, and other things that will occur in these facilities, there's also the engagement of the people that are not yet engaged with USCB. We on the Education Foundation have invested in software and funds so we can manage our alumni base and our contributor base. Having people come on campus, get engaged, and participate in this life will be integral to the growing of that base and growing number of alumni each year that are coming out. If you look at the typical contributor to a college, if they were the first graduating class of 4-year degrees 20 years ago, they're still in their prime and raising families and not looking to dispose of that huge amount of wealth they will have accumulated by the time they're old and gray like some people we know. We want them to be engaged in USCB. If you look, one of the themes you will see in our documents is going to be more than you imagine. When we started this several years ago, making USCB a 4-year school, we had hoped a number of things would happen. Dr. Panu and his team and Jane Upshaw before him have achieved every one of those goals and pretty much blown it out of the water. Chairman Howard, you and I have talked about Pritchard's Island, what that was and what it has become. The marine biology aspects of what we have here at USCB are second to none. There are children that want to come, they want to have those experiences, and some of the people want to have experiences where they can participate in the social life of a regular campus. Now, just so you'll know, this time it's not all on you. Last time it was Beaufort County alone. This time the state has committed $40 million to this project. That's a huge thank you to our legislative delegation for that leadership. We're asking you to participate in about a 2-to-1 ratio, and we have a means to do that. Won't raise property taxes, won't limit your GO borrowing activities, and we'll talk about that recommendation. And additionally, Jasper County will be participating in this one, hence the multi-county aspects of that. I mentioned the state and Jasper County as our partners in co-funding activities. If you will approve this, if you've got some other way to pay for it, whatever you want to do, would be great. We just need the project. But the last thing I also want to leave with you is what my other friend told me while we were going this conversation. Said the folks at USC Columbia, Dick, are not going to give us a penny down here because they got so many priorities and so many expenditures of their own that they have never gotten enough funding to have any left over for us down here. That hasn't changed. So as he put it, if we're going to have the university everybody here wants and expects and are willing to support, we're going to have to fund that a lot locally. So as a taxpayer, I'm not excited about it, but I'm delighted to have a funding mechanism that doesn't raise property taxes. In my mind, having this 4-year university here and the impact it has actually keeps our property taxes lower. Happy to answer any questions today, but hope you will come to the workshop if you will grant us one and come to the public session so we can talk about it then.
Questions for Mr. Stewart?
I better run now then. I appreciate it. Yes, sir. You raising your hand and waving goodbye?
No, I know exactly what needs to be done.
Thank you. We've been working this for over 5 years while the Culinary Institute and all that stuff. So, what Joe is referring to is he's heard this all the time. You want to hear it, but thank you for your leadership in letting us do that. Thank you all.
Mr. Stewart, thank you. Dr. Panu?
I just wanted to introduce another colleague of ours right here. Quinn Monahan is our athletic director. And as most of you know, in the past, we are now in our 3rd year of transitioning USCB from NAIA to NCAA Division II athletics. And the amazing leadership he's provided and the incredible achievement that has happened is been remarkable. In our 2nd year of offering basketball program, the men found themselves runner-up for the conference championship. The men's golf has won the conference championship, and this is just the 3rd year of being here. We're still in provisional status. And in addition to that, the women, they had the best player for the women, the best player for the men, and so three out of 4 possible recognition in golf were all USCB for us. And so it's just a sampling of some of the remarkable things that have taken place, and we're just very proud of that, and I think the future is even brighter. Thank you.
Chairman?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Dr. Vanille, I just want to ask a question. I am very concerned about teachers being educated here, local, and being able to supply employment at the school district. So if you can comment on that, I sure appreciate that.
Yeah, and teachers and healthcare professionals and many other areas, we want them to be able to help and stay in this area, and that's important. Just the other day, I was reading a story where Novant had just given one of its major recognition for nurses, and it was a USCB grad that was recognized in that regard. So we know and we talk often about the importance of them being here. But there are many other challenges that are going to impact their ability to stay here. And housing is just one of them. And there are others, but we often talk about what would it take for them to stay here in education.
I do know that there's more than just housing. It's also socialization, et cetera, and you talking about moving that direction, blah, blah, that sort of stuff. But I really would love to see more and more student enrollment in education.
Oh, yeah, so increasing the enrollment in education, absolutely. And so, as you know, there are many other areas in education besides, let's say, elementary and middle and secondary education. So we want to expand, and that's part of that programming that we talked about. Yeah, absolutely, yes.
Any other questions? Yep, good.
Dr. Manu, thank you for your presentation. Thank you and your staff and the support team that you have built around you to have accomplished things that you have accomplished at the university and the proposed things you have to accomplish in the future. Thank you for the great work that you're doing.
Any other comments? And Dr. Panu, thank you so much. Again, my wife graduated from USCB, my daughter graduated from USCB, so we're in it full time. So again, thank you so much, and again, you do a wonderful job. Mr. Stewart, thank you for coming. Mr. Moynihan, thank you for coming as well. Again, athletics have taken off out there, so again, you guys are doing phenomenal.
And though we lost her.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Your loss is our gain, so we're so
Thank
glad
you.
to have her, so thank you so much.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Panu.
Okay, so now we have some other outside agencies. We are going to start off with the Small Business Development Center, and this is Mr. Martin Goodman.
Good afternoon, Council. First of all, thank you for allowing me to come and talk to you a little bit about our program. Okay. Packets are being distributed that I prepared. And of course, thank you so much for the support that you've given our program over the past few years. To give you, some of you are very familiar with who we are and know what we do. To some of you who may not, the Small Business Development Center program is a national program. We have SBDCs in all states. The program is funded through a grant program that Congress puts funds into the program. The program's administered by the U.S. Small Business Administration, and then it is match funded in South Carolina and most states by the legislature. We are also grateful that Beaufort County helps support the 2 offices that are here in Beaufort County. I want to thank also USCB for their support. We have been on their campus for well over 35 years, and they support us with places to meet with clients and offices. Our budget program is limited. We do not get a lot of money from the federal program. and then the state match, and we do have centers all across the state, primarily located in state universities. In our case, our total budget, 94% of the budget is to support 2 staff members. I am here in Beaufort at USCB at historic Beaufort campus, and we have a consultant that is in the Hilton Head campus. Her name is Pat Cameron. We have both been with the SBDC for a long time, so we are here and we work with clients. So our budget is very limited, and it primarily goes to staff, with the remainder being a little bit for upgrades in technology and some travel for training and professional development. I'd like to take a couple minutes to tell you a little story about an example of what we do with our clients. We meet with clients, we provide consulting services that are confidential, and all of our consulting services are at no cost to all of our clients. The things we do for the business owners and prospective business owners in Beaufort County is at no cost to them, thanks to y'all. I have a client that I started working with. We get a lot of referrals from banks. Back in 2019, I had a bank refer a client to me. They were interested in buying a business, and it was a husband and wife team. They were interested in buying a business here in Beaufort. The business they were buying was a long-established business, and the owners were interested in selling the business to retire. We worked with them. The bank wanted a robust loan package that included 3 years of financial projections with good assumptions, as well as a written business plan that supports the ideas and the plans that the business owners had, as well as what the financials. It supported the explanation of the financials. The owners were interested in buying this existing business, and they were going to convert it to a franchise, and they did. We worked with them, we got the loan package together, it went to the bank, they got approved, they made the acquisition, and started their business in March of 2020. If you recall, that was the first month of COVID. So all the plans that they had made about changing this business from what it was to what it can be were all put on hold. They went into a survival mode, and they came out on the end of COVID very successful. This business is Alpha Graphics of Beaufort. I'm sure many of you know about Alpha Graphics with Barry and Rita Wilson. They are very good clients of mine. They're very active clients. I work with them all the time. We do strategic planning every fall. I help them with a budget every year. We meet every month to go over the financial position and review where they are with the budget. And I continue to help them with various questions that they may ask. The owners are very involved in the community. Barry is very involved with Rotary and the activities that Rotary supports, and also does some tutoring. Rita is very involved in the community and serves on many boards, and is a board member of the Beaufort Chamber. I'm very pleased to announce that in November of last year, I nominated Rita for one of the statewide SBA awards. I nominated her for the small business person, the female small business person of the year. And even more happy to let you know that on May 9th, she went to Columbia and received that award. So Rita Wilson of Alpha Graphics is the statewide SBA winner for Female Small Business Person of the Year, which is a great tribute to their work, excuse me, their work and the hard work they've done in contributing to the community, as well as Beaufort County and what it has done to support their business. So I'm very happy, and if you see Rita, congratulate her. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. That was an example of how we work with clients from pre-venture startup through the growth of their business, and now we work with various businesses who are looking at exit strategies and helping them determine, do they want to sell their business, do they want to make it a legacy business where their children or maybe their employees are going to take that business over. So we work all the way around the spectrum. That was an example of what I've done of a client that I've worked with. Pat Cameron in Hilton Head has numerous examples of the same thing with the clients that she works down there.
Any questions for Mr. Goodman? Yep, go
I
ahead.
have a question. So you say in your narrative that it's due to an uncertainty of federal funding stream. What happens if you get federal funding?
If our funding gets cut, predominantly, of course, if it gets cut completely, then obviously we're in trouble. We don't anticipate that. But should we get some funding cuts or not get increases, then we will continue to survive, but we just will not have pay increases for Pat and me.
Well, what happens if you get federal funding?
We do get it. We already
No,
get
if
it.
you get that level or above, do you still need 25% increase from the county? That's what you're asking for?
Yes, because we're not anticipating getting any additional funds out of the budget. The Congress has been working on a continuing resolution, and so the funding to the SBDC program has been flat for several years. The legislature also has not been forthcoming in it and giving us increases in funding.
And my other question is, we have the Economic Development Corporation, so why would your group not be an arm of that or work with them, since we fund that extensively? Help me understand the big delineation why you are separate and not part of that.
Well, first of all, we're a separate program, so.
No, I mean, why wouldn't you be brought into that?
But we do work with John O'Toole and his staff. They refer clients to us. We work with them back and forth, and I've worked with the Economic Development Corporation since its beginning. The primary difference between what we do and what they do, they are at a higher level. They're looking for businesses and bringing businesses into the county that have that are bigger businesses, have more employees, and have bigger impact. We work with those small businesses, the retailers, the service industry businesses, those businesses that are really kind of under the radar of where John and his staff works. But we do work extensively with them, and they refer clients to us, and we work back and forth with them.
And I guess I'm just asking, to me, there seems to be duplication here. The Economic Development Corporation should take the low-hanging fruit as well. It's economic development. So I'm just not understanding why you're not a wing of theirs and why it's a separate entity.
I can't answer that. We've been here for over 35 years as the SBDC, and so economic development in Beaufort County has come and gone with different groups and different entities, and we've worked with all of them as they came along, but we continue to do so. But we are a separate program, and because we're a federal and state program, how county council would deal with that would be up to you.
I'm just looking at redundancy, and you're asking for $50,000, and we fund EDC for plenty of money. I'm just looking, is it redundant? That was my question.
At this point, it is not redundant. They do not meet with the clients at the level we meet with them.
But they could.
I don't know that. I can't
okay.
answer that for you.
I'll leave it there for you.
Yeah.
Yep, Alice, go ahead.
I know you deal with smaller businesses. What's the average size number of employees that you would, if you can kind of guess? I know it's different. If it's a restaurant, it's different if it's another.
If it's a restaurant, you're gonna have a lot of employees. If it's a
Part-time.
retail store, you're gonna have 5. If it's a service industry, you're gonna have 5 to 10, just depending. So, a lot of what we do are what would be characterized as mom and pop industries, where it's the owner and maybe their spouse or 1 or 2 employees. A lot of retail stores, a lot of service industry. Obviously, we have a lot of folks in the construction trades, as well as landscaping, housekeeping, things like that. We work with all of them. A lot of what we do is help people with their loan packages so they can secure the funding to start and grow their business.
That was my next question. Do you help them with their loan packages and with a marketing plan?
We do.
If
We
they
help
don't
them.
have one?
We do. We absolutely do. And we have some specialists across the state that are consultants that specialize in various areas. We have some consultants that specialize in exporting, marketing. We have 4 consultants right now that are very involved with cybersecurity and trying to make sure our clients understand the effects of cybersecurity protection and making sure they're up to date on CMMC protections and that sort of thing, especially the mid-size and larger businesses that we're working with.
Are these consultants paid by the state that you utilize?
We are all
Un-
paid the same way I just described to you. You know, the state director splits the money out to the regions and to the individual offices, and so it's allocated toward, with the resources that we have, toward the needs.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Nope, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. I've known Mr. Goodman for some years, and before I even came on council, and he's been a valuable resource in the community, working primarily with small businesses, doing their business plan, allowing them and helping them get to the banking arenas so that the finances is in order, and then following up on it. So that service is a valuable services to this community. Since I've been on council, you have been requesting $40,000 a year, and I think when I first came on council, I even asked you, don't you think you need an increase? And you said, no, we can do with the 40. So now after my 8 years on council, he's now asking for a $10,000 increase that should have been asked for some years ago. I think is a very modest increase for your program and for the service that you're providing on the north side, and your companion is doing it on the south side. So it works for the whole entire county. I don't have a problem with the request that you're making at this time, just because of the service that you're providing for small businesses, and a lot of these businesses are some of our least in the county. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And I do appreciate, I have worked with Councilman Glover over the years with some projects with the Gold Farmers and various things that he has been supporting. We are an economic development partner with you. We're economic development, even though we may not be part of the Economic Development Corporation. That is what we are. And this is, in the sheet, this is the impact that we had last year between the Beaufort and Hilton Head offices. The one thing that was down is the capital formation. Generally, we're at $4, $5, $6 million, and capital formation is loans and equity that we work with our clients to put in their businesses. But last year, the banks were just not interested in lending. They had shut down. We had clients that were going to the bank and getting turned down, so part of our job was trying to help them find other sources for funding through other lending areas like CDFIs, Community Development Finance Institutions, to help them find the funding. I'm happy to say this year it's night and day. Pat and I both are very busy. We've got a lot of clients that have been referred to us. They're big deals. Some of them are acquisitions. Some of them are new businesses coming out of the ground. Right now, I was just looking at it in the pipeline with the clients that I'm working with, and Pat and I associate with some of those. We have over $19 million in the pipeline if those loans materialize. So, and it would be a sizable number of jobs as well. So we're very pleased with the turnaround in the economy and what the banks are willing to do this year.
Good, and
Mr. Chairman, another comment since he raised that question, a statement. I have met with Mr. Goodman and Mr. O'Toole in several settings, looking at working together to actually work with small businesses in the community. So they do partner, they do work together, they're aware of what each other are doing. But I just want to make a comment, Mr. Goodman. I know you didn't have anything to do with this brochure, but I love that picture there with that farmer. It just brought back memories to me. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a very good farmer. He's a hog farmer.
Oh yeah, that's what I like about the picture.
All right, and Tab, I think that's a good question about the redundancy, but I look at this as actually two completely different things. I mean, Mr. O'Toole with the economic development is looking at bringing in larger companies that are successful to Beaufort County. And what the small business development does is actually help to grassroots grow people that are here to become a business, whether they're smaller or larger, but to help them from inside of Beaufort County that's here already to grow as well. So we appreciate all you do. Any other questions for Mr. Goodman?
I just have a comment. I agree with you and Mr. Glover. I think this is much on the ground right here than Beaufort County. And I'm on the liaison for Beaufort County Economic Development Corp. And I feel that we should give him the 25%.
Okay. All right, Mr. Goodman, thank you for coming. If you have other questions.
Can I just point out that we have a meeting starts at 5 o'clock. You've got 6 more presenters, so if we don't keep them to 10 minutes, we're going to run late for our meeting.
Okay, thank you.
We do.
Sorry I was too long.
Mr. Goodman, thank you for coming. Appreciate that.
All right. Up next, we have the Military Enhancement Committee, and Megan Morris is here to present.
Ms. Moore, thank you for coming. We appreciate that. And obviously, there's the warning shot, so.
Yeah.
Warning shot.
I grew up, born and raised in Beaufort, but you're telling me talk fast.
That's right.
I got it. Ms. Brock is pulling up a presentation that I've prepared for you all today. I'm actually here presenting on behalf of the Military Enhancement Committee, and that is chaired by Warren Parker, who is a Beaufort County delegate appointee to that committee. As you all said, my name is Megan Morris. I'm with the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to go ahead and keep going, and we'll let the slides catch up if that's okay. The Military Enhancement Committee, the MEC, has a long tradition of serving as a critical bridge between the military installations and our broader community. Speaking of economic development, we can all appreciate the contributions that our 3 military bases that we're very fortunate to have here contribute to our overall economic health here in Beaufort. The MEC itself has been evolving in really exciting ways. Originally developed to support anti-BRAC activities at the federal level. Now we are turning our attention to ways that we can enhance and strengthen and support our bases so that their longevity here remains. We are very focused on strengthening the ties between our installations and our community, and we are going to share what some of those items are here with you today. Very quickly, here are 3 key points of the mission of the MEC, which is to facilitate government and community support to sustain and enhance the quality and value of the military installations, as we've already said. We want to make sure we are helping to document and communicate the base's contributions to national security, which are quite impressive. And we also serve as that linkage between the bases and the community. The base commanders that we meet with regularly and have very good relationships with, they consistently emphasize the role that we play and the importance of having links to the community, having the community integrated in with the bases, the service members, their families, the civilians, and of course the veterans who are increasingly returning to Beaufort County to live after service. They've also particularly lately emphasized a few key areas that they would like our support with. One of those is healthcare access, both through the federal government and through our local healthcare avenues. Increasing employment opportunities for military families, particularly spouses, who travel here with the military service members. And interestingly, there are over 1,000 service members at our bases each year that will separate from service. So they will either finish a contract term or they will retire, and we want to do a better job of recruiting and retaining those folks here in our workforce. As you've heard many times today, this workforce development initiative is really important to a lot of our businesses. They also want to make sure that they have ties to the community to support things like educational opportunities and resources, as well as childcare, which is a growing problem and recognized by our federal bases as a difficult challenge for them as well. They know that having a high quality of life here in the surrounding community when folks drive off of the bases through the gates is really, really important as well, and that they have a great need for more community-centric resources to share with their service members and families. So it's really important for us to serve as an independent advocate in this way and a linkage to all of those other partners that we work with consistently. Here is the structure overview, which I try to show to you all each year as a reminder. This is a public-private partnership. We have 8 voting members. 2 are appointed by you all on Beaufort County, and they are Warren Parker, who serves as the chairman, as well as Ed Saxon, former CEO of the Beaufort Jasper Water Service Authority. We also have an appointee from the town of Port Royal, which is Jimmy Boozer, an appointee from the town of Hilton Head, which is Carlton Dallas, who was here earlier, an appointee from town of Bluffton, which is former Mayor Emmett McCracken, and 2 appointees from us at the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce, which are currently Lisa Philp McKay and Ben Leitzel. Funding is reserved. Funding for the MEC comes from local government support. The past 3 years, we've received $100,000 from the county and $15,000 from town of Port Royal and the city. All of that is kept separately from all chamber activities, and we make sure that that is used very responsibly. So these folks are all volunteers, by the way, I should say that, and all the funding goes directly to producing some outcomes to support the military as they've asked of us. Here are reasons. Here's our why. Why is the MEC important? Well, it's really the main entity that serves as this link between community, governments, businesses, and military communities. We want to make sure that we are making it very clear how heavy of a role that Parris Island, Marine Corps Air Station, and Naval Hospital play in our national defense at the federal level. Of course, we have all recruits east of the Mississippi in the Marine Corps coming to us here at Parris Island, and we have the hub for F-35 aviators in training globally right down the street in the other direction. So 2 very important bases, and of course our Naval Hospital Beaufort site also serves as the VA clinic, the only VA clinic currently in Beaufort County. So we want to make sure that we are supporting those efforts and honoring the history and culture of being a very strong and military-friendly community. And there are a few numbers there where you can see more of the economic impact that those bases have on our area, which make them extremely important. The general functions of the MEC are listed here. So these are things that we have always done and will always continue to do. We want to make sure that we do what we can to make sure that the collective of Beaufort County, which includes our governments and our businesses, our educational partners, and other folks here today, that we create the best military community in the United States. We don't want to be shy about being number one there. We continually dialogue with local base leaders, which change every couple of years, so that's a lot to keep track of. But there's a great precedent set in having that established relationship through the MEC. We track and analyze public policy, which of course at the federal level and even at the state level has a big impact on our military bases here. I'd like to think we are a very trusted liaison. We attend frequently different ceremonies for the military to help represent the community itself. We also keep a close eye on the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, which comes out every year and details how the federal government will be directing and appropriating for projects throughout the globe in our armed services. And we make sure that we also at the state level keep our eyes on funding opportunities and partners like the South Carolina Department of Veterans Affairs and others, and communicate with them as well about funding opportunities and support opportunities, which leads me to my next slide. Beyond our general functions, which keep our amazing MEC team very busy, we have spent quite a bit of time strategizing and planning for a very, very productive year ahead and making some strides, and those things are outlined here. We are going to pursue the designation of making Beaufort a great American defense community. That is done through the Association of Defense Communities, of which the MEC maintains membership. We are in the very early, exciting stages of establishing a collaborative workforce development program that will specifically focus on military spouses and then on those separating military members as a phase 1 and 2 approach, which we hope proves to be very, very valuable. We want to make sure we strengthen our military and community relations. We're going to bring back our State of the Bases event, which we're very excited about. We want to continue to identify and advocate for investments in both infrastructure and resiliency. As you've seen in the past few years, that effort through the state has brought $13 million to Beaufort County for projects that bring together community and military needs. And we want to make sure we're keeping our eyes open and our blinders sideways so that we're not using tunnel vision on just infrastructure projects, but other mission supporting projects. We want to make sure that we're also supporting the improvements of healthcare facilities. There's been some tie-ups at the federal level, not surprising. Another theme we've heard a great deal about today, but there are some exciting advancements coming up in the pipeline here soon that will help support both veterans and active duty military members, and we've spent a lot of time behind the scenes advocating for those to take shape. And then we participated in a Department of Defense housing study that was conducted over the past few months, and we're excited for that to be released and to be a guide for us locally as to how we can better support the housing needs of our military families as well. So these are all really big items that we're working collectively on with partners and with folks in positions like yourselves, state and federal level. We're determining a lot of these costs and projects, processes that are going to be put in place. And of course, we have to say we are dependent, our activities are dependent on the actions and approvals that come down from the federal level. So in closing, the budget we've put together for the MEC this year for the activities that I've just shared with you totals $126,000. This is a level funding request from the past few years, so no increase in our request this year, but a pretty exciting array of the way we're going to utilize it. First, we have our ADC designation process to become a great American defense community. We've got a collaborative workforce development program that needs some marketing and some communications, but we're working with several partners on that. So we've got a lot of bandwidth, which is really helpful. There are some activities that are community support activities that the MEC does, including the State of the Bases, the Military Appreciation Day, the Cyber Summit, things of that nature. We have in the past utilized consultants to assist with the healthcare and potential land implications of new healthcare facilities. We put that on pause while waiting on the federal government to make some final decisions because we want to use the funding very, very carefully. But with announcements coming up in Q3 this year, we believe we'll be able to restart some of those activities. And of course, we got to make sure we have everything we need for operations and communications and marketing, as we help the community understand what the MEC is, what the MEC does, and the good things that are coming out of our work together. We do have some meetings and travel planned to help facilitate some of these items moving forward, and we'd like to bring in a military affairs liaison to manage all of these projects and more, along with our volunteer military enhancement committee. And of course, the chamber will always offer any support possible. So I close on a picture of some of the activities that we've done around our bases and around our community recently, and I'm happy to take any comments or questions.
Any questions for Ms. Morris?
No. You're not asking for any more money,
Sure.
right?
I mean,
Could you explain just quickly healthcare slash land acquisition, I think it is. What's that?
so a lot of things are in the works right now that I wouldn't want to say too publicly in case they aren't official, but with the development of more healthcare services by both the DoD itself to better support the bases and veterans, as well as our local healthcare initiatives, there could be some domino effect opportunities there.
Emphasis on consultants. I got you now. Okay, thank you.
Did I make it in 10?
I have a question. On one other slide, you noted 100,000 from the county, and then you said Beaufort City and Port Royal, they give you 15,000 each?
Correct, correct.
What about your other partners, Hilton Head and Bluffton?
We are working on those. That's an initiative, a more internal initiative in the coming year. We've had Mr. McCracken actually presented to the town of Bluffton recently to give them an update on the MEC, and I think we have some opportunity there. We're actually pulling some data that shows that quite a few of the more senior officers, especially at the air station, do live and send their kids to school in Bluffton. So we're working on both of those. Actually, with both of those areas are not only involved in the MEC, but they're big partners with our new workforce collaboration effort as well.
Any hope for funding for 26 from them? Those two?
We're going to try. Thank you very much.
Great.
Thank you, Megan.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend that we just time everybody 10 minutes because we're not going to, so everybody can get through. That's okay?
That is
I'll
okay.
time
You
them
be
on
the
my
timer.
phone. Okay, next.
All right,
Also,
up next, we have LRTA, also known as Palmetto Breeze, Mr.
Okay.
Brian Sullivan.
Okay.
Give them a warning at 9 minutes then, or?
Sullivan, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I will try to be brief. I'm going to go ahead and start while we tee up a presentation. For those who may not know, Palmetto Breeze is a 3,267 square mile service area covering 5 counties, Beaufort County being our largest and busiest by far. We have 7 commuter routes, and then we have 9 other fixed route, coordinated routes, demand response routes. I always say the most important thing we provide is emergency operations support in case of an evacuation. Several of our team members are involved in the EOC here at Beaufort County, myself included, where we provide transportation to and from the shelters as needed. We participating in all the training. We have some training this week. So I always like to remind people that's the most important thing we provide. We also keep a registry of folks who might need evacuation services. Total ridership in Beaufort County, which is like I said, the biggest, or busiest county that we serve. The grand total for fiscal 24, which is the most recent full year, so July of 23 to June of 24, we had 168,725 passengers in Beaufort County alone. Daily commuter routes are about 72,000. Hilton Head Island routes are 47,463. Bluffton routes, 21,407. Port Royal, City of Beaufort combined demand response routes are 16,052. And then our coordinated services, 6,000 north of the Broad and 3,000, almost 4,000 south of the Broad. And then finally, USCB with about 1,100 passengers connecting the two campuses of Bluffton and Beaufort. Some of our recent accomplishments, we have maintained ridership levels. That's a key thing. We have achieved some marketing awards in our industry. We consistently achieve the GFOA certification for excellence in accounting and finance. We have we have a driver, and if you have the presentation in your packet, his name is Deontay Ellis. He's an 18-year-old graduating senior in Hampton County. He came to us as a non-CDL driver while he was still in high school, achieved his CDL with our assistance, and he is now going to be a full-time CDL driver for us right out of high school. That's an amazing accomplishment. I've never heard of that in this industry, and I've been in it since 1995. So I'm very proud of Deontay, and I think Deontay's the future of our organization. I told him that. I said, no pressure, but I think you're going to have my position someday. That's an amazing accomplishment at 18. And we've had steady success hiring drivers. That was a problem in the past you may have heard about. Right now, knock on wood, not a problem. Right now, we're in the middle of our Northern Beaufort County Transit Master Plan. So Northern Beaufort County became a small urbanized area as far as the federal government is concerned after the 2020 census, which affords us an additional appropriation of federal and state transit funds. So we're conducting that study that is set to be completed by the end of September of this year. And like I mentioned, that affords us the opportunity to access more federal transit money. Some of the recommendations we anticipate there, fixed route service in Beaufort and Port Royal with frequency, new facilities that might include a transit center, bus stops and shelters, park and rides that everyone's asked for, and then probably maintenance and operations, Lord willing, north of the Broad. I see it as a transit network, basically a transportation hub in the Beaufort-Port Royal area. There would likely be a circulating service, hopefully a trolley service in downtown Beaufort, USCB, Ladies Island, Port Royal. Importantly, transit service for military and their families. We get that request a lot, and we don't have a lot to offer right now. And then complimentary ADA paratransit service where we provide fixed route services. We build our budget, we start with the two pots of money, basically rural money and urban money. So it's divided into two, and our total rural anticipated revenue is about $3.3 million. That's about $165,000 of fares, which is a very small percent, as you might imagine. Federal grants of about $1.5 million, state mass transit funds of $417,000, and then a total local match of $1,148, to total $3,300 roughly. The match is then divided up amongst the rural communities, which is our 5-county service area, including Beaufort County. It's divided up by both ridership, there's a formula, ridership and population. So as you can imagine, Beaufort County carries the load, 66% of population, 65% of our ridership. The rest of the counties, much smaller percentages because the lower population, lower ridership. And so in your packet, that's where those numbers came from. That's how the split occurred on the rural area service. I'll skip that real quick. On the urban side of things, we anticipate a total revenue south of the Broad of 2.8, almost 2.9 million, and north of the Broad of 1.1 million. North of the Broad is a brand new urban service area for us, so that is entirely made up right now of capital items. We have no service plan yet in the north of the Broad area communities until fiscal 27, based on largely on the results of that study. The federal grants there are about 2.1 million total. Fares are about 165,000, same as our rural. I basically split about 50-50 across both rural and urban services. State mass transit funds are only $74,500, and a local match that's similar to the rural service of about 1.2 million. And then contracted revenues, these are additional revenues we have with communities that we have relationships with. So town of Hilton Head, town of Bluffton. I don't think we've done anything in Beaufort or Port Royal yet, But those are additional contracted revenues, like USCB, for example, is one of those services. That's at about $250,000. And again, how the local match is determined for our urban services, that is entirely on population. So the town of Hilton Head's share has dropped, at least since I've been involved with Palmetto Breeze, from a high of 52%, almost 53%, now down to 33.68%. And the increases have occurred in Bluffton and Beaufort, unincorporated Beaufort County. So the budget request that you have before you for Palmetto Breeze for fiscal 26 is a total request of $1.23 million. 672,392 is rural, 452 is local match for the service south of the Broad, and 105,416 is basically the match that we require for the capital items that were the funding we have appropriated from the federal government to purchase vehicles in anticipation of service in fiscal 27. My presentation has it's a detailed comparison of how we spent Beaufort County's contribution to our match in fiscal 25, and likewise how we would plan to spend it in fiscal 26. It's broken down basically by administration, maintenance, operations, and capital categories, kind of broad brush categories. Obviously, we can drill down on that if the county is interested. The reasons for the budget increase are things you've already heard a lot today. In fact, the first 4 bullet points on the school district slides are almost the same as ours. We assume 3% inflation in costs. Our insurance reserve fund, which is liability insurance for vehicles, it's pretty important. That went up 30% this year. So the state is catching up with insurance rates across the country, and we are paying the price. Health insurance costs are up 4.6%. We have a retirement surcharge that was previously unbudgeted. We were budgeting that. We have a significant increase in maintenance costs, so contracted services, basically. It's more costly to acquire new vehicles, and maintaining them is also more costly, but you have to pick your poison there, basically. So we've chosen not to try and address additional capital investments this year, and instead work to maintain those costs, maintain those vehicles, maintain those assets. And at the same time, it's very difficult to hire trained maintenance technicians. But luckily today is day one of the first new maintenance technician at Palmetto Breeze in over 2 years. So thankfully we have one, and we're waiting on a background check for a second. So we feel pretty confident that our maintenance capabilities are going to go up dramatically. 2 other things are happening that are diametrically opposed to each other. We are growing, so our mission is to serve a growing population. Unfortunately, even our federal and state grants do not keep pace. They're always going to be about a year behind. It's kind of crazy the way the federal cycle works versus our local cycles. So those appropriations are basically, grant monies are basically appropriated by population. And so it lags behind. So I'll just close with a statement about what happens if local match is not achieved. We obviously have to adjust our budget. Possible adjustments include a hiring promotions freeze, more aggressive assumptions on fuel and maintenance, transit service reductions, which in our world requires public outreach, public hearings. That could include routes and or days of service. An admin or operations staff reduction, but we're so lean already, it would have a very minimal impact. And possibly fare increases, again, a very, very minimal impact because the fares are already pretty much in line with what public transit fares are across the country. And they don't have that much material of an impact at transits all over the country. So that would be very minimal impact if we were to try and increase fares. I'll close real quick with just a statement. Public transportation, the American Public Transportation Association has a ratio that they use that the economic return on every dollar is $5. And so and on top of that, 87% of that return stays local. And so for every dollar that the county or any of our partners grant us, that's a $5 impact to the economy and about a $4 impact to the local economy. So basically, the request we're making here today would net $4.1 million in economic impact. In our case, that is not incremental because we're not growing the service. We are hoping to maintain the service. So obviously, if we would have to adjust our budget, reduce service, the net economic benefit goes down. So it's not incremental, unfortunately. Hopefully in the future, not too distant future, those numbers will be incremental as you see growth, especially here north of the Broad. And with that, I'll close
We'll
it.
have to delay our 5 o'clock.
All right, Mr. Sullivan, thank you. Is there any questions, Mr. Sullivan? Yep, Tab, go ahead.
So in the sheet you provided and what was online, you have not ridership for Beaufort County, 98,636. That's total rides or per person or people that rode?
Those are passenger trips.
So some of the passengers ride 5 days a week, so
Correct.
that's not indicative of people served.
Correct.
And on the back, it says Hampton County, most likely not paying full amount. Hilton Head requested 507, possibly 350, so you're not going to get a full amount. And then the others are on here. So I'm presuming you're asking us 72% increase. And I'm guessing you're already looking at how to reduce your funding because these guys aren't giving it.
Correct. That is a correct assumption.
Got it. Thanks.
Anyone else? Yep, go ahead, Gerald.
Can you give us an update on the Walterboro route service? Is that still in effect?
Yeah, absolutely. Walterboro is one of our more productive rural routes, daily service 362 days a year. And then we have a circulator up in Walterboro too that's paid for by College and County money as well as some of our grant money.
Mr. Sullivan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here.
Appreciate your time.
45 minutes to 4 to go, so.
Right, all right. Next is South Carolina Department of Mental Health, Dr. Angie Sally.
I have a feeling that people coming here for 5 o'clock going to be delayed. There's a bad accident at Rose Hill.
There's 4 accidents. 278 is closed in front of Rose Hill coming
Yeah,
from
so I
Hilton
think
Head this
delaying
way.
it a little bit probably is not going to hurt, yeah. Because
Dr.
someone
Sal-
just contacted me and said they're not going to, they're going to be here late.
And Dr. Sally, thank you for being here.
Thank you all, and good afternoon. So I would like to make a couple of corrections that need to be added probably in your minutes. So it is not Dr. Sally, so that's an error somehow that, I thank you for the promotion, but not yet. Thank you all for the opportunity to be here today, Beaufort County Council, and thank you with sincere gratitude and appreciation from Coastal Empire Community Mental Health Center for your support and again for allowing us to present today. So the other correction is when we first put together our presentation, we were still under the South Carolina Department of Mental Health. Coastal Empire Community Mental Health Center is a division of the state government. On April 28th, Governor McMaster signed into law the elimination of the South Carolina Department of Mental Health, the elimination of the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs, along with the Department of Alcohol, Drugs, and Other Substances. So the new name is the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, and we are the Office of Mental Health. That's a whole nother presentation in itself, okay? But what I remind everybody is we continue to do what we do. Our mission is still the same. It is to support the recovery of individuals in our communities who are living with mental illnesses. Our services are still the same in all of our areas. In Beaufort County, this is our largest operation, as I've told you before. So Coastal Empire serves 5 counties. We cover that same area of territory that the gentleman before me just presented to you. It's over 3,000 square miles of territory. And needless to say, Beaufort County by far is our largest county served of Beaufort, Jasper, Allendale, Hampton, and Colleton. And so a lot of our budget, a lot of our actual operations and staff over, I believe it is 45% of our staff. And I do have with me, I'm very sorry, this is the doctor, Dr. Jennifer Cobb Hayes, who is the Director of Administration for Coastal, basically our CFO, who's with me here today that can answer more intricate details about our budget when we get to that part. But just, I'm not going to bore you with the details, and I know that committee member Ms. Brown is keeping that clock on me, so I'm going to keep going. So basically, Coastal Empire is your comprehensive outpatient community mental health center. We everyone in the community that is, most of our services are voluntary. We do deal with the probate court, with court-ordered treatment, of course. Our services are not free. The services are billed, but we do have a large population of self-pay patients. We do not refuse treatment to anyone based upon their inability to pay. So if someone presents to us, and many people do with hardships, that they are not able to, they don't have insurance or they don't have an income, we still serve those individuals, and we still serve them based upon their level of care and their needs, not based upon their ability to pay or the services that they can pay for. Coastal is staffed with psychiatrists, psychiatric nurses, mental health professionals. We have support staff. We have a full administration team that support our operations. And in Beaufort County, Coastal Empire has 2 offices. So we have an office on Reebok Road, and we also have an office over in Hilton Head on Dillon Road. And so this is the only county that we actually have 2 offices. Of our 84 staff members, well, 83, I'm sorry, of our 83 staff members, 45 of those staff members are located in Beaufort County or officed in Beaufort County. Of that 45, 30 of them are dedicated solely to Beaufort County. I'm sorry, I'm not working this very well. So the services that we offer include mental health assessments. It includes individual therapy, family therapy, nursing services, medication assessments, crisis intervention. This is later in the presentation, but I'll go ahead and say to you, Coastal operates a mobile crisis team that is 365 days a year, 24/7 a day. And that team is growing. They are primarily located in Beaufort. And from that team, we actually have 2 of the 3 that are dedicated to Beaufort County only. We also have a mobile mental health unit that goes out into our various communities. And in Beaufort, it is actually one of our site locations is out in St. Helena. We are looking at a second location for Beaufort County, or we have identified a second location in Beaufort County. It is out at the Lobeco Library. And so we have those operations once a month at both sites to provide treatment and care to those individuals who have barriers in getting into our offices, and to anyone else who's interested in services and meeting with our staff to connect to our clinics. I talked to you about the 2 locations in Beaufort. This is just some data regarding the current or the past admissions from FY24 and where we are in our current fiscal year as far as the numbers that we're serving. So over 50% of the patient population that we serve for Coastal Empire is Beaufort County. So of our 2,538 patients at the time of this presentation, that may have grown by a few, 1,415 of those patients are from Beaufort County. The crisis services that we have provided, which is what we want to see, because those crisis services are diversions. They divert people from going to jail who don't need to be in jail, people who are suffering or impacted by mental illness and could have had some type of interaction with law enforcement or other members of the community. They also divert individuals from going to the emergency departments who may not need to be in an emergency situation, but just need to be connected with our services. Because of having increased personnel in Beaufort County, is I like to say, if we tell people about it and if we are present, they will come. The phones are ringing more. We have had an increase already, or we see to date that we've had 553 total crisis calls already. All of last year, we had 585. Of those calls that we've had, we've been able to provide 118 diversions so far this year. And this is data that was just through the first 3 quarters of the year. Last year, we did 123 diversions for the whole fiscal year from July 1 to June 30th of last year. We have had over 127 on-site responses so far, which is outstanding. That means that we have 2 mental health professionals respond in person on scene. They responded somewhere in Beaufort County 127 times to help provide some type of diversion and assistance to someone who was in mental distress. And these calls just don't come from law enforcement. They also come from members of the community, the patient themselves, or family members. And our expectation is for them to respond in less than 60 minutes. And we're doing an outstanding job with that, because our total response time this year so far has been on average 47 minutes. And these folks are coming from all over when they respond after hours, but during the day, they are coming from Beaufort County. We are also in your schools in Beaufort County, and we have a strong partnership with our Beaufort County School District. And so just providing that for you for information, we are in 14 schools in Beaufort County, and we staff those 14 schools with, I believe it's 6 personnel right now, Jen, that are school mental health counselors. These are master's level clinicians who are in the school anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week, providing mental health services to patients, and they can also see family members at the school as well. Now, they do have to come to the clinic for some of their appointments, but most of their service delivery, and this is done to decrease the interruption in learning for our students, to keep them in school, and it embeds our counselors or our therapists with the school environment. They participate in all other kind of activities. Just this morning in another county, but we do this here in do this here in Beaufort as well, in all of our counties. Whenever there are tragedies with our children or with our school personnel, we send in teams to provide support to our district personnel, to see students, to see teachers, family members, or whomever that may have been impacted by that tragedy. And so we coordinate those responses. And again, this morning at 8:30 in Allendale County, we had several personnel that were there to support that district after a tragedy that occurred with a student this weekend. So I don't have the actual numbers on how many times we've done that in Beaufort, but we've responded also to requests for in-service training for school district personnel, and we provide that to them whenever it's needed. We have a school mental health counselor or school mental health, director or child adolescent services director. We have a lot of acronyms, and so please forgive me for not being able to keep them all straight. We actually call her the CAF director. That's pretty interesting to most people, and they want to know what that means. Child Adolescents and Family Director. She works very closely with them. So we are asking for, I will say this, is that the reason why we're asking for your continued support is to strengthen our mental health services for a healthier community, to help build resilience, and to ensure that we are making an impact, and that we're looking for this on a long-term basis in Beaufort County. The mental health center has had a long relationship with Beaufort County over the years, and somewhere along the line we kind of got, and I think that might have had something to do with COVID, and so we were able to come back to you last year and ask for your support, and we do thank you for what you did for the mental health center. We find ourselves, I know this is probably just kind of overkill to not overkill, because it is the truth, because of the impact in areas of where we have lost funding. That is why we have increased our ask this year to you all. So the impact to our funding has been from the federal government. We learned a month ago that we were losing one of our grants, that we weren't just losing an ARPA grant that comes through the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Systems Administration, which is an acronym, SAMHSA, that many people know. So SAMHSA provides lots of grant funding to mental health and substance use agencies to do community programs. It was one of our grants that we pretty much counted on. It had already been awarded for the 2025 year and for the first quarter of 2026. That grant was not only terminated, but the funding that was left, the $225,000, was revocated for the upcoming fiscal year that we had. And I cannot tell you other than that it was just based on SAMHSA losing billions of dollars, and of the $11 billion that they lost, $1 billion impacted programs such as ours, and that those ARPA grants were terminated and the remaining funding revocated. And so we are asking for your support and I did make an error in the, or sent you the wrong copy of the original proposal, in which we asked for $112,500 and said that it was half of $250, which we all know that is wrong. It was half of the $225,000, and I did send a correction to Pinky, and I'm not sure that if she was able to get that to you. I understand, and so I do apologize for that. Are there any questions?
Sally, what is your budget for everything?
So our total budget, come on, Dr. Cobb Hayes.
Actually, for last year, it was 10.4 million, and because of our loss of the grant this year, it actually is down to 9.4 million. About 49% of that comes from the state of South Carolina. That is also down about 3% from last year, because obviously they're having
state funding
issues also. About the other 52% will actually come from earned revenue, and that 49% from the state actually covers basically the $2 million that I write off every year from those self-pay patients that don't have anything money to pay. So,
great. Any other questions?
No, but thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for coming. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you all. Thank you for your time.
All right, moving right along. Next up is Beaufort Soil and Water District, Ms. Denise Parsick. Sorry.
That's all right. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Double disadvantage. Almost last on the list and down to the minutes. Okay. This is the hardest part.
Hang on one second.
Well, thank you very much for this opportunity. The Beaufort Conservation District is pleased to say that we are not asking for a whole lot of money. And I promise you, we're not going to use it for classes on technology for the commissioner. Okay, so I am a commissioner with Beaufort Conservation District, and I know many of you. Currently, the county contribution that we receive, which is $26,250, pays for our monthly rent and office space. It's a storage room in our office space at Crystal Lake Park. We are very happy to be at Crystal Lake Park. We enjoy having our partners with the department, the Land Preservation Department. That rent includes phone, internet, and electricity. In addition, it pays for the district manager. She works part-time, 25 hours a week. Her salary is $15 an hour. We also have a few office supplies from time to time. So that is the contribution that you give us right now. That's what we use the money that we get from you. But that is not all of what we are about. We have written grants. Many of you may have met Walter Mack at last year's our presentation to you. We have received grants from the Nature Conservancy in the amount of $65,000 from the time span that's shown. And then and we have written an additional grant to get a contribution from the South Carolina Association of Conservation Districts, which also gets their funding from Natural Resource Services, and that amount was $14,000. All of that money has got to be spent on that field agent or his work. It is for the farmers, the landowners. It is an immense, immense opportunity for us to have here. He has found 15 new landowners that he's been able to assist with. We have seen Farm Bureau monies go to some of the farmers in the amount of $115,000 for this year only. His ability to be out and about in the community helps recognize problems ahead of when they might normally be seen, such as erosion and damage from storms. He has helped people by getting Farm Service Agency folks into our office so that we can then get the farmer in, because without a Farm Service Agency number, without a farm number, no farmer can get any of the opportunities afforded to them for any assistance, either tax breaks or federal fundings or any Nature Conservancy monies. They have to have a farm number. Walter has also been asked all over the place to come and do programs. You all are going to receive a book, the South Carolina Wildlife Magazine. On page 50, Walter and the Conservation District is featured for the work that he has done. I'll know that you'll enjoy reading that. And by the way, Mr. Dawson, you asked when we presented the last time, you wanted to make sure that Mr. Mack was getting a salary. In fact, he gets double the salary of all of any of our other employees because of the grant. It stipulates what he should make. And so, your question. All right, so the majority of what we do affects the students and the people of Beaufort County. Our mission is to protect, promote, and preserve the natural resources. You're not going to protect something that you don't know about and you don't love. And how are you going to learn to love something if you don't know about it? And we all know that there's problems today with kids being behind their phones more than they get outside. And so we're very proud of the programs we're able to provide. This is the soil tunnel. It is our most popular program for our younger students, kindergarten through second grade. You see the table in the background. On top of the table, on the left, is a little play school kind of thing of a house. In the middle is forest, and on the right is a farm. Underneath, as you can see with the little boy on the left, are panels underneath the tables that match what's up on top. So the students get a flashlight, and they get to crawl through the tunnel. And of course, we've given them things to be looking out for, and what they think they might see. And they'll see painted on the things, septic tanks. They'll see snakes. They'll see insects. They'll see all kinds of things underneath those various things. It's just a joy just to watch them go through. And then in that same time that they also have to have a chance to handle words. And older kids like worms also. We do classroom presentations. Teachers request the presentations. We have snakes, turtles, dolphins, sharks, you name it. Our presenters are all have college educations, and most are master naturalists. Our programs are teacher requested. Our employees are not sitting around waiting for the call. We call them to come in to do the program when it's requested from the school. Inside your magazines, you'll also see just a couple examples of months of our activity that comes out of our office. We'd love to get them outside. This was at Port Royal Sound Foundation Maritime Center. We utilize local experts. This is the butterfly guy. And these folks come at no charge for the joy. And as I mentioned, we use our own presenters. Eco Camp is our popular camp. It's been 34 years. We have been asked to go around the state to present on how we do our Eco Camp. And a picture is worth 1,000 words. That little girl will never forget the day that she held a little chick. Or that the first time they ever saw a goat. And we have written a grant for binoculars, so any group that we take out, for example, in this case, it was one of our employees who is a master naturalist, has a master's degree, and is a birder. And what else could you ask for? One of the important things that we do is that each year the Outside Foundation takes all 7th graders in the county out on a kayak. Now that is an unbelievable adventure. We support them by sending our employees to do a program called the EnviroScape, which teaches point and non-point source pollution. We also mentor Green Step schools, and we participate in festivals. I see you standing to my right.
You have a minute left. No, 50 seconds.
Okay.
Soft shell crab festival.
Or just some of the other festivals that we attend. All right. So our education coordinator makes $15 an hour. You remember what the district manager made. The education specialist, that's what we call all of our people that go out and teach classes, make $14.50 an hour. This is, on the right, you'll see what the salaries are going for a camp counselor, a head camp counselor, which would be like our education coordinator, and what a regular camp counselor, a part-time, probably college kid for the summer is going to be making. We are only asking for, it sounds like a lot because it's a huge percentage because we just ask for so little to begin with. But we would like to raise the salary by $1 an hour. $1 an hour. And of course, that comes with all the FICA and all those other things. So that we can continue to do festivals, so we can continue to support the 7th graders in their kayaks, so that we can continue to help everybody love Beaufort County and appreciate it and want to take care of it.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Not fair.
I have a question for her. In your dialogue you sent us, it says, without additional funding, you will make these changes. give up community outreach festivals, increase amount requested, blah, blah, eliminate classroom presentations south of the Broad. And I would caution you to be careful when you say we're going to service north of Broad, not south. I understand. But the other part was the festivals you would eliminate. In your presentation, it says the state funding covers the festivals. That's what you had up there.
We had that at 25,000. Okay, see, there again, in trying to be brief, the state funding that we get is $25,000.
Correct.
And yes, it goes towards our thing, but 25,000 is all we can get from the state. The state Department of Natural Resources, which also contributes to a lot of other things, they give the same amount to every county. Doesn't matter if you're the biggest, the smallest, the richest, the poorest, the most active or no active. There's no way of asking for more money. There's no way of earning more money from the state. So the state is our baseline data. That's why we now are coming to you, that in addition to just paying for the person in the office and the office building, that we want you to help us do the conservation things that we do out in the field with the people.
Well, I would just suggest you change your slide that says DNR annual support covers the budget for all education, classroom presentations, festivals, and community events. That's your slide. So that contradicts what you wrote, and I'm not understanding that.
Okay,
Okay. Just a clarification.
They do what we do now. They do it all now with that salary. But if to increase the salary, we can't increase our state funds. Do you see that?
Understand.
Thank you. And I'm sorry about saying anything about south of the Broad. It's simply about mileage, mostly, and the length of time it takes to get there, again, because of our limited budget. Thank you for your attention.
Ms. Parsons, thank you for coming. Appreciate your presentation.
Okay, we're going to ask the last two to maybe limit it to 5 minutes apiece, so we can get through the last two presenters. All right, Keep Beaufort County Beautiful, Mr. Gene Zapfel and Chris Campbell.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know you're tired, and
I'm
thank
sorry,
you for all you
Chris.
do. I'm going to really just turn it over to Gene. Keep Beaufort County Beautiful. We try. We're beautification. We're litter control, waste reduction, plastics. You know what we're all trying to do. So I'm not going to take any more time. I had a lot to say, but we ran out of time. Thank you.
I was kind of counting on a little bit more introduction than that, but that's okay. That's okay, we'll get there. So to get through the slides, really if you go to the third one, just a really brief, what did we get done this year? We have to go back a little bit. I joined in December. First meeting was in February, really. And Chris has been wonderful to bring me on board and help, kind of bring some new energy to it. So the team has done some work at planning and implementing new driveway and landscape at Dale Community Center, crepe myrtle installation in Dale also. We've been actively supporting the single-use plastic conversation, trying to help understand that legislation and where that's going to go. We sponsored a water buggy. If you've ever seen a water buggy, it's a water container that's pulled behind a pickup truck. It's 3,000 gallons. You pull it up to an event, and you no longer hand out or sell plastic bottles. So we're reducing plastic. We're reducing litter. That is a wonderful investment that you guys have made. We're doing with Euratan, and we're co-sponsoring it for 2 years, and so we get to use it. So that's a really good investment. We're also kind of bringing new energy into what is Keep Beaufort County Beautiful. One item that's not on the list here is Chris and I went up to DC to the national conference for Keep America Beautiful, and there were about 400 people there. South Carolina delegation was about 25 people. It was awesome. We went to visit legislators on both sides of the House and the Senate, had our chance to talk for a couple minutes with the legislator about what is Keep America Beautiful and how are we doing our support here in South Carolina. So I think it was a great trip and absolutely worth our time to go. You go to the next slide, please. One of the questions that was asked that I did a poor job of providing information, Pinky, I apologize for that, was what have we done with the money that we did last year? I had some of the details of big things that we accomplished, but I wanted to just very quickly, you all gave us $50,000 last year. We didn't really get our act together till about February. So since February, we've been kind of pulling our plans together, and we've been spending some of that money, we think, in a good way. We originally got $50,000. We thought that in April we could spend 39. In the end, a big part of our beautification projects have been delayed because of permitting problems. And again, we're working through how do we get permits done better next time. And next year, we will have that process down. We've already worked with Public Works Department. They're the ones who are going to pull the permits for us, because really Chris and I can't do that. I wanted to add that also we've been working with the Public Works Department for procurement. They've got a good portion of our actions are in front of them. We've approved what we want to buy, and now the Public Works folks are working through that. It's some marketing materials, it's some planting materials for next year, et cetera. If you want to see which of the committees are doing what work, I kind of put that at the bottom of the page here. A little bit of an eye chart, but you've got written documents in front of you as well. So what do we want to do in 26? We want to provide support for litter pickup. The county does a good job. Chris and I were both part of the Earth Day event where the county orchestrated across the whole county. And we went out and picked up litter like everybody else, and it was great. However, we have this idea that we'd like to, 4 times a year, in front of major events, probably Memorial Day holiday, probably before the golf tournament, and what other big events, do a sweep of the county. And we would do that by augmenting the county's capabilities, and we would buy a contractor to do that work. So we would pay a contractor to do a sweep at various times of the year. We're thinking right now 4, but that's one of the biggest items in the budget request. We also have a handful of beautification projects, and we've got specific details for each plans as well. You should have documentation on that. We want to install some new signs in the county. The busiest road in the county, 278, the Beaufort County sign is this big. If you're driving by it, you almost can't see it, and it's an old state sign, so it's horrible. We want to replace that. And Chris has been working with some other signs. You probably heard him talk last year about we want to put some really custom signs that really kind of go back to the history of what the county is all about on other parts of the county. I think those are both north of the Broad. Education and outreach. Keep Beaufort County Beautiful has been kind of quiet and not really visible. We want to change that. We've been to many more events in the past few months. We want to get out there and participate with a lot of different organizations. Our plan is to be at or sponsor 12 events, 1 a month for the whole, not literally 1 a month, but 12 events for the year. So we will co-sponsor it, or we will set up a table, and we will be out in the community, working with the community. We also have been working a lot with the Public Works Department and recycling. And our biggest recycling activity we want to take on next year is we want to figure out how do we get actively engaged in schools. If we can capture the minds of the 5th, 6th, 7th graders, we can probably capture them for the rest of their lives. And I don't think we're doing much of anything right now.
I have a question,
Please.
since I'm the liaison, and I wasn't at the last meeting, I apologize, I was out of town. When is your next meeting? Because I'd like to go over this whole thing, all the ideas you've had
Oh,
today,
excellent.
since we don't really have time to discuss it, everything. So when is the next board meeting?
It's
June
Yeah, it's
something?
June 12th, I believe. it is.
12th?
Yeah,
And do you guys know where it's going to be? Because we're all spread out everywhere.
here. Oh, it's
Right
in
here?
the other, it's always been in
And
the
the
other building
Arthur Horn Building? Oh,
because of the construction.
yeah, because we won't have it where we normally have it because it's under construction. Okay, thanks a lot.
So we have a.
Yeah,
a-
let's talk about it then.
We would love
'cause-
to. We have
yeah.
we have a full agenda for that meeting, so maybe
Yeah.
we could talk about another way to
Oh, okay.
engage. We're trying to figure out not how do we catch up, but how do we get ahead? And
Okay.
this year, we have absolutely been trying to catch up.
All right.
We have not been able to spend the small budget that you gave us. We've got great plans. We want to do more things going into next year. But, you know, I've given you a list of specifically which projects we want to take on, where they are, what we want to do. All kinds of details, much as you can possibly consume. And that's it.
Right.
I know we're short on time. Is it good?
Great, you're good, great,
If
thank
the
you.
council has more questions, we'll email you.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
All right, last but not least, Island Rec Center, Mr. Frank Slate.
Well, thank you. I
I'm really under
apologize,
pressure
but-
now because all the folks from Hilton Head are here.
Yes,
So
right.
before I was just going to be able to do it on TV, 5 minutes or less. I hopefully, thank you for the opportunity to come speak today real quick, is that I'm hoping that during your budget, during talks, that you would consider funding this at full level that we requested, which was $225,000. I'm not going to do my report or anything. I'm just going to ask you all if you have any questions. We just passed out our annual report as part of our which was part of our thing, but just to let you know that we had over 645,000 participant visits at the Island Rec Center in our programs this year. We also had over 77,000 participants that came to the pool. And at the pool, we provided swim lessons, and with your help from this year, we're able to provide swim lessons year-round. And we also had a new opportunity with the Bluffton pool being closed. Please remember that the Island Rec Center pool is the only public pool south of the Broad currently. But having said that, we're able to also provide swim lessons to schools in Bluffton. We provided to Michael C. Riley and River Ridge Academy. So we provided over 280 children in second grade with swim lessons, and part of that was being able to do that in the winter months. We're asking to just be able to keep up. Our starting pay at the Island Rec Center for a lifeguard is $15. County starting pay is $19. All we're doing with the extra $25,000 is asking to keep up. We also have asked for funding for our scholarship fund. Last year, 2 years ago, was $217. This year was $250,000 that we provided to children. Majority of that went to our child care program with over $226,000 there. Short and sweet. I was probably the best person to go last because I can do it very quickly. I have any questions?
So if you recall last year, the majority of council voted to give you $50,000, which was a 34% increase, when other outside agencies got 5%. And the explanation, as provided by our administration, was MC Riley was closed, and that would afford those people the opportunity to come to your center. How many people from MC Riley, because it was closed, came to the rec center?
I don't know how many people from Bluffton, because I can look that up for you, but I know that we did MC Riley, we did host 2 of the schools for swim lessons that would have gone there, and that pool is still closed.
Okay, the pool will be opening June 1st, but, okay, so 34% increase last year, now you're asking for 12% more, and you use the same thoughts again, offset lifeguards, swim instructors, and rising cost of pool chemicals. So that would be a 46% increase in 2 years, which is way above any other external agency.
Sure, but we're trying to keep up with the county and the county payroll that they're offering. I said that earlier. Our starting pay for a lifeguard is only $15. Yours is $19. We'd like to be able to increase that. With your help, we'll be able to do that. Also, the cost of propane. Obviously, a cold winter this year, the cost of propane has gone up for us. We also see the cost of chemicals going up on a regular basis. And our scholarship
And I
funding-
understand all that.
Okay, so that, I mean, you've asked me to justify, so I
Yeah,
thought
I
just did
understand that. I have 6 pools in Sun City, I get it.
Right.
But my comment to my whole group here is, you know, we kept hearing federals reducing funds, states reducing funds, so everybody's asking county, and where do the county funds come from? Millage, from our residents. So everything's pushing down, compressing, and we're trying to keep millage level. So that is why everyone's presenting and why I ask these questions. We're trying to not raise millage on our residents, which means everyone has to tighten their belt, period. We have to. Everybody that presented today, it was great to hear it all, but this adds up to $3 million for these agencies. And I just suggest to my council members, we have to be fiscally responsible.
Mr. Chairman?
Last
Frank, I
question.
don't have any questions. I just would like to make a statement of support for your operation on Hilton Head. The Island Rec Center serves residents of Beaufort County from Hilton Head, Bluffton, and the other surrounding areas. The county does not have any specific separate freestanding community recreation building and/or staff on Hilton Head. The only facility serving the people who use it is the Island Rec Center. All age groups use this facility, from young children to senior citizens, and I'll count myself as one of those, and you can pick the category. The facilities that serve our residents are superb, and they are very expensive to maintain. As you stated, over 645,000 visits were recorded last year in all your programs and activities. The opportunities that are offered for exercise and recreation include the year-round pool, the gym, the indoor track, the tennis and pickleball courts. The tennis courts were used by 2,700 people last year, and this is a remarkable number. The pickleball courts, 29,250 participants. Additionally, there are meeting rooms available for resident use. The majority of the budget for your operation is provided by the town of Hilton Head, by donations, and by fundraising events. I don't think this is an unreasonable request, and I fully support this request, and I congratulate you for the good work you're doing for the residents of Beaufort County who happen to live in Hilton Head and Bluffton. Thanks,
Thank you.
Frank.
And let me just close by saying, Frank, I think you guys do a great job. I've always been a big supporter. Lived in Hilton Head for 6 years before coming to Bluffton. So again, I also support everything that you do as the rec center for Hilton Head, and then allowing everyone from Bluffton to come as well. So thank you very much for being here.
Chairman?
Yes.
May I just add one thing?
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry about that. Mr. Soul, thank you for being here. I know we're going to come back to you. You'll come back to us with more because we're limited time, but we support, and I support what Mr. McKellen talked about. We talk about incorporated on the island, unincorporated. You do an awful lot for over the bridge as well, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, before we end, and we're done with him, Ms. Harriet has something to speak about the public defender, because she did not present, and we did not look at her budget, and I caught it in the budget documents this weekend.
Correct. The public defender was supposed to present back in April and then was not able to present. So we had originally budgeted 70% of what we were providing the solicitor based on those two entities' discussions together. But recently, as of this afternoon, we received a request for 2.5, which is not what we had originally appropriated for the public defender. We had appropriated the 70% based on the discussions we had had with both parties. So it's a little over $1.9 million is what we have already built into the budget. And if it's your desire to have her come present again or try to re-present, we can do that at the next council meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to our final item, which is reappointment of Stephen Green to the Accommodations Tax, a 2% board for a 4-year term with the expiration date of February 2029. Can I have a motion for that, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Second, all right. And any objection, any discussion?
I just want to say I checked with members of the ATAX committee, and they recommend his reappointment.
Thank you, Ms. Tabernick. And any more discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will pass this without objection. Is there any objection? And there is no objection. We will adjourn this meeting. We appreciate everyone's patience. I know it's taking longer, and a lot of people come out to us, and their causes are very important. That's why we try to give them as much time as we do. We apologize for everyone that we cut short today as we got near the end. But again, thank you for coming out. We're going to take a 5-minute break, so we will be starting at 6 minutes after 5.
should have been.